Ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday night, which means one thing. Is the late night Grin, the sequel to the 4 hour premiere. Confirmed Shooters previewed and advertised this episode by saying, I don't think it will go 4 hours, which is one of the great promotions ever. We have a tremendous guest. I was going to give him kayfabe branding, but he's prepared for otherwise. So I'm going to pass it to Shoot, actually, because you did a great job with his brothers. You may as well do the same here while I do some maintenance. Introduce our wonderful guest, Confirmed Shoot. Go ahead, pal.
Well, the problem is I don't remember his first name.
Sorry to hear that.
Devon Dustin.
It's Devon, and then that's my middle name. But
I was kidding.
This is a gimmick because my parents are stupid and they decided to give us all D middle names: Dylan, Drew, Dustin, Devon. So this is a gimmick that people have played for 5 years. So.
Are we sure the Dillinger thing isn't a Sean Spears play out of interest? Because we're big Sean Spears fans and, we don't accept Ty Dillinger being brought up around here. So just want to make it clear that is not a reference, right? For full disclosure?
Yes.
Yes. Anyway, tonight we'll be talking about Rampage some. We will be previewing All Out some because guys make predictions, which we will do, obviously, in the chat, which will be coming up, I'm sure, throughout, and they'll actually guide what we do here today. Bob O'Neill, you haven't spoke yet. How are you, pal?
I'm good. Doing well. Not tired today. Feeling good. Ready for college football tomorrow. All that stuff.
Go Gamecocks. Go Gamecocks.
Hell yeah.
Let's not go down this route. This is very dangerous. Now, folks, Rampage, the show that was the last hour of our night. We did not watch SmackDown, any of us. I'm not going to let them two talk about SmackDown. So we're going to go straight to Rampage. I'll go to the Oracle. Kayfabe names all night. I'm doing that. Highlight of Rampage tonight. It was somewhat B-showy, but I like the show nonetheless. What was your takeaway, pal?
Darby and Daniel Garcia was outstanding. Great match. Great final build. The idiot fan in the aisle after the Punk dive offering him beer was definitely a highlight. The entire last 20 minutes of the show were great. Starting off when they were running down the card, the show the little brief brawl with Moxley and Kojima. So yeah, it was the last 20 minutes made up for what I thought was kind of a lackluster show, but the last 20 minutes were great.
Shoot, about 25 minutes into the show, you text me that you were fired up and was going to pace the streets. So I assume you have a different analysis. I guess I don't know why you were fired. I assume Miro and Kingston. I don't know. Tell me about it.
We're getting Dustin and Malachi Black.
Oh, of course, yeah.
The Kingston and Miro deal was tremendous.
Yes.
They've nailed there's not even really been that much build, and yet that's the best hype match on the card now because of one brawl and one 50-second pre-tape, and then that showdown tonight. They're both incredible. The women's match was there. Cameras were in focus. No, I mean I really liked the show tonight. I thought it was a good go-home show. They didn't try to do too much. The crowd got into. I thought the crowd got into Lee and Malachi. They weren't there at first. Lee Johnson got no reaction when he came out. But Malachi actually gave him more than he gave Cody. So, which
Cody's finished. He's retired, Matt. I've told you this. Bob, did you watch Rampage?
Yeah, I did.
There was a delay in your answer there, Bob.
No, the thing is, I missed most of Lee Johnson and Malachi Black, but I saw everything else.
Okay. So here's the thing with that deal is I like some of the stuff Malachi's doing. I definitely could see where he gets lost in his own shit sometimes when he sat in a headlock for 4 minutes during the ad break and chilled out and, the commentary team's putting him over as a shooter. The issue with that match as a segment of TV was the people did not buy Lee Johnson at all, did they?
No, that's fair. You lose the three of us when you analyze the stuff that happens during the commercial break because we don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you don't get close to your TV screen looking at the picture-in-picture?
No.
Okay, fair. But at one point, Lee Johnson pie face Malachi Black, and the people were you fucked up, which did wrong. Malachi's over, right? Oracle, where are you at on ceiling read wise on Malachi? In WWE, I wasn't particularly high. He's climbing for me. Where is he at with you?
First of all, picture-in-picture sucks. I hate it.
Sorry to hear that.
It's awful. Like it's they do it so much. It's so annoying, especially on Dynamite. It's just awful. Like, I don't pay attention when they do that crap. Like, at first I was like, oh, cool. Then they do it like every fucking match. No, thanks. I'm not a huge Tommy Inn fan or / now.
Wow, shoot names.
Malachi. Yeah. His entrance is still good. I thought he looked okay tonight. He's never like, I don't know. I find him sort of boring almost, unless he's like, in there with somebody like a Cesaro or something, or a Bud Murphy, Bud Matt. But
hit the high spots, pal. I like it.
But yeah, I mean, he's fun. I'm not a huge Malachi Black fan. But I do think his presentation has been a little bit better than what I thought it would be based off of the social media stuff between his time from WWE till there. I was a little bit like, ooh. But it's not as bad as I thought it would be. So,
folks, there is someone that no one in this chat really cares about Malachi Black much. We were never fired up about him. However, we have a new guest here who's joining impromptu.
Stop, motherfuckers!
Oh my god.
Known Malachi Black stan, the great Jack Crosby is here. Jack, how are you, pal?
What's up, fellas?
This is officially the greatest episode of the Late Night Grin of all time.
Wow, that's a statement. Last week was pretty good.
I want Jack Crosby's opinion on grad assistant turned quarterback for my South Carolina Gamecocks.
This is going to be great. This is going to be great to watch. That's what we need. We need more storylines like this. We need more coaches being thrown into the games, like unnecessary roughness style.
Well, the only way you can watch it is on ESPN Plus, and I think Robert O'Neill actually got ESPN Plus to watch that game.
Yes, I did have to finally get ESPN Plus.
How crazy was it? How crazy was it having someone on the show say Robert O'Neill, his full name?
We've lost control of the program already, Big Chief.
Hey, let's watch the Big Chief shit, okay? Bob, your thoughts on Aiden's comment here? He asked politely, would you please redeem these nuts?
No, I'm not going to do that, but that was good stuff, though.
Okay, good. Okay, the chat is going wild. So, folks, I will. My God, the pops for Jack Crosby. Look at this. The
Jack,
Law
did you
Dad.
watch Rampage tonight?
I watched it.
Okay.
I put the football on the bottom TVs and I watched Rampage.
Did you like King going full blasphemy?
Dude, listen, I just got to say something. I don't even care if people want to make fun of me. It warms my fucking heart every goddamn time. Like a mainstream wrestling crowd pops for Eddie Kingston. That dude has deserved it more than anyone. And every time they go ballistic for him, it almost brings me to tears. I love that fucking guy.
That match is going to rock, man. Okay, so this dude, this doesn't fall. Like, direct show. What happened?
We lost you for a second there.
Sorry to hear that. Good luck if that happens again. Okay, Rampage is such a direct show that, as Matt pointed out in the first week, it's going to be like almost just free cut segments. It's really easy to talk about briefly, right?
Yeah.
So with Kingston and Miro coming up, let's talk about All Out in a broader sense. That match is definitely it's Punk's number one, right? Punk's, it's different. He hasn't wrestled in 7 years. As for the stuff that is not CM Punk, Miro and Kingston solidified itself tonight as definitely the one that I'm most looking forward to. And it was always pretty much that way for me, but this segment I thought was great. I want to go around the horn here. What is the single match that is not CM Punk? So I think we can have a bigger conversation about Punk himself that you're all most looking forward to. We'll start with the great Bob O'Neill. Bob?
I mean, I think it's Miro and Kingston. They've done a really good job building it up. I want to see it continue after this show where, some other matches or feuds don't need to keep going after the show. I think that one would be really good to keep it going, some way. Yeah, I mean, they got me real hooked on it.
Good stuff. Oracle, where are you at on this?
Miro and Eddie, for sure. I like the segment tonight. It kind of fell, it was really good. It kind of fell in between two matches that I wasn't thrilled with. But yeah, they give them 10, 12 minutes. They don't have to go longer than that. They'll do something fantastic. It's with Eddie selling. In fact, I love the way he sold the belt shot tonight, like his almost concussed way of selling it. Just fantastic. That's the one that I think is outside of the Punk match, the one I'm most looking forward to.
My God, so we've got a clean sweep. So I shoot. Are you on board with this, or are you going to swerve and go with QT Marshall and Paul White?
Statlander and Britt Baker.
Oh, that is. Shoot. Don't start that.
The tag match, man. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, Miro and Eddie's right there for me, but that tag match is going to be insane. Like,
I think that's.
It'll be a bloodbath.
Yeah, I agree.
Bloodbath.
So is that what we're thinking? It's going to be like a
for the
blood and
Bucks?
guts?
I mean, I would think so. I would think so. Yeah.
Okay, we need to have a
match.
conversation about this.
God,
I'm
I
really
hope
intrigued.
Penta Blades.
Just across his chin. Yeah. Jack, where are you at on this? Match you're most looking forward to that is not CM Punk?
Christian and Kenny. Like we talked about it a few weeks ago about how Christian loves to pull. Like he loves to remind people who he is, and he did on the first match on Rampage. And now you're pretty much telling Christian, well, we're not sure if you could top that. And he's going to go, oh, really? Really? You don't think so? And he and Kenny are probably going to top that Rampage match. I really want to see, because what did that Rampage match go? Do you remember, guys?
Like 17
minutes.
Yeah. Some of
They're going to get what?
break.
Probably. They might get 30, 25, 30 on Sunday.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, they were for world title match. Yeah, they're going to get 25, 30.
It's not get carried away.
Can I say?
Now, anything past 30, you guys know what I'm doing. I'm calling the cops.
Give them like a little bit of leeway. It isn't Paul White and QT. You can give them like, if they hit 31, you don't have to immediately get the phone.
I do not like that we didn't hear from Christian tonight.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really hear from him on Wednesday, and he just got beat up.
The thing about that is, though, Matt, is, I don't mean to dismiss your point, but, like, complaining isn't really conversation, is it? So,
well, have you considered that they're going to start all out by saying that Christian was injured in the cage beat down, and then he's being replaced by the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson?
I would shit my pants.
That would... Wow.
Because that thought crossed my mind. I don't think they're going to do that, but it's kind of weird that
someone earlier said I think Paul White's going to be taken out of the match and Bryan's going to step in, and I was like, that would be the most Bryan shit ever if he wrestles QT in a 12-minute bout.
That actually sounds awesome. I'm on board with that.
Matt's scenario would be hilarious if only because that in that ESPN article, like Punk came out and when they asked like why he doesn't go after Kenny, he's like, I just got here. It doesn't make sense for me to get a world title shot yet. I don't have any wins in this company. And if Bryan comes in, it's like, motherfucker, I don't know what you're talking about. Fuck that. I'm taking the title.
Someone said that on Kevin, our Canadian pal Kevin brought that up. I do think I don't think they're actually going to do it, but I do think there's a difference there because they don't pretend other companies don't exist, and Bryan's wrestled this year, whereas the other two haven't. And like Christian coming in when he hadn't had a singles match in what was it, 7 years? Was it 7 years for him too?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
And then Punk hasn't wrestled. You could defend. I could defend Bryan getting a title shot right away because
of course, man.
Yeah.
I honestly think if you want to book that match and you stop yourself because of your own ranking system, I kind of think you've fucked up wrestling.
Yeah.
Like this is pro wrestling, right?
Even Punk said, not in the content, but Punk didn't say like Bryan's a bigger deal than me, but he like Punk said like Bryan's a really, really, really big deal. Like he's just not someone.
He got Punk was on a pod and he got interviewed. I saw a clip where they flat out asked him if Bryan was coming, and like he grabbed his coffee mug and like did that thing, and then he said that if there was anyone that would bring him back to wrestle within the last 7 years, it was him. And then basically said, so take that to mean whatever you want it to mean.
Right. So it's interesting. I want to see the Oracle's perspective on this. Where would you – we've talked and none of us have an answer on what you do with Bryan, right? Like it's almost dreamlike that you're getting Bryan in this scenario. Where is your instincts on how you bring Bryan in, where you position him just for the first few months here, through to the end of the year? Where is he? Is he working Kenny at a pay-per-view? Is he working Kenny at After Ashes, I've suggested and got absolutely abused for? Or is he going to work his way through the card?
Now.
There you go.
Oh, God. It's really hard. Like I don't know, which is a weird answer. I think I'm gonna go with you and think it's probably gonna be with Kenny, but at the same time, I've heard some interesting predictions about him being involved with Punk and like I don't know, doing some sort of program maybe with the Bucks or something, like right out of the gate. There's a lot of stuff you can do with him. I haven't really thought about what they would do with him when he first comes in. I'm just thinking about like the 9-minute Griff Garrison match on Dark Elevation.
Same.
That's what I'm thinking of. I'm not really like. I'm just excited for him to do his shit bell to bell and outside of the WWE style, which he perfected in his own way. But this is the American Dragon Bryan Danielson that's coming back. This is not Daniel Bryan. So this is going to be the next month is going to be crazy, and I'm insanely ready for it.
That is a good point, though.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to mention WWE, but like that son of a bitch was in the main event inside a foot, like just months ago.
Punk brought that up today too.
Yeah, like if he comes in and goes right after Kenny in the world title, and even wins the world title from Kenny, like as much as I still would like to see them stick to the Hangman plan, I can't be mad at that if Bryan just comes in and tells Kenny, "All right, your time's up. I'm taking care of you."
I really like the idea of Kenny beating Bryan and then just freeing Bryan up to do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either.
He comes in, he does the dream match, and then he gets to do what he wants to do, which is just work with every dude on the roster that can take flat back bumps.
Yeah, and he can always win the title later, and it's Bryan Danielson. I mean, he's a former NWA Southern Junior Heavyweight Champion. It's not going to bother. It's not going to hurt him to lose to Kenny Omega.
I will say this.
That whole bit. I read his entire Wikipedia page.
I will say this: if there's one guy who can come in, and I think we all know Tony Khan's booking at this point. If there's one guy that they would want to have do a 60-minute draw, eventually in the next year, damn well Bryan Danielson's doing a 60-minute draw. I don't know with who, but I just know that I feel like that's something that they're going to do with him. Probably not right away, but within the next year, we're probably going to see a Danielson 60-minute draw.
Dude, I love that as an episode of Rampage. Contained.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you do the deal halfway through, you go, the matches we've announced are not going to happen.
Yeah, moving to Wednesday. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. Bob, you all right, Bob?
Yeah, no, I was just finishing up a couple things for tomorrow, but yeah.
Oh, sorry, mate. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
what's your plans for Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon?
I mean, it is a good point. Like, he's a guy that could come in and go right for the title, and no one would, obviously mind. People would like to see him win it, and he's a big deal. Like, it's impossible to kind of overstate how big of a deal he is. Like, so I think pretty much anything you do with him, it's going to be like Punk, where people are going to be cool with it. They're going to gravitate to it.
See, that is the key here, right? Bryan's a unique set of skills, factors, all of this stuff. He's a very special professional wrestler, right? And the reason Devon mentioned he's back to being the guy we remember from over a decade ago, but now he's a superstar. It's a weird dynamic you got here. Mm-hmm. It's way weirder when you realize he's coming in after Punk. So you can kind of play and have fun with Bryan without worrying about this kind of big picture stuff. You got Punk. Like, you're kind of playing with house money here, and that's dangerous attitude. I'm not saying they should have that. What I'm saying is you could just let Bryan experiment and have fun because, frankly, you ain't lacking major players at this point. Am I wrong? It seems that way to me.
I had someone suggest to me that Bryan Danielson joined the Elite. And but the whole time that he's fucking with them.
He did it as a rib.
Yeah, like you know what I mean? Like, he's in the group, but it's like the whole time he's kind of wink, wink, nudge. It's kind of like, well, I mean, that's not really how the Wyatt family thing worked, but I
was just gonna say, like, it's kind of in the same vein almost. Yeah. Like, I get what you're trying. I get what that person was trying to say.
Why don't we just sign Bryan, bring him in, brother?
I like the idea.
Why don't we just not?
I like the idea of turning Bryan though. Like, they're awfully heavy on the babyface side. I wouldn't do it first night because that's you got to give him the moment. But
I would rather see a heel Punk because that's what I think he excels at. They can't do that right now, but
Yeah, that's hard right now.
I think it's going to be Moxley, guys. I think we have to prepare ourselves.
They certainly look like they're planting the seeds for Mox to just go.
Dude, how funny was it?
But now it's like they're planting the seeds to just turn
how
him
funny
full
was
asshole
it
heel.
when that man confronted Kojima and Kojima threw like the ultimate worker's forearm without any kind of emotional response, just like, oh, fucking have some of that. He didn't put anything into it. He just, fuck.
Hey there, chap, have some of that.
Where are we at on that match, guys? So here's the thing. Before I go any further, do not get mad at me. I get that Kojima is a legend. We have to be realistic. Kojima worked for Impact about 2 months ago. No one really give a shit.
No.
He hasn't been a major player for some years. I get it's a match on Mox's list. And honestly, on this pay-per-view card, I think it's better it's not on Epic. I think this pay-per-view card will benefit from a 10-minute Moxley match, rather than a 25-minute match with Tanahashi. However, I'm not going to pretend I'm excited. Devon, where are you at on this match? It's an interesting one. It hasn't got any build, obviously. It's just a match, right?
I was disappointed in it only because I know Suzuki's all over the States, and I'm like, come on. I mean, like, why can't he work all out? But this will be like the gentleman's 3-star match. Like, they're going to go out there and hit their spots in 10 minutes, and like you said, it'll be over. The crowd will pop for some stuff. Kojima will be over. He's really popular on social media and stuff, and it'll be fine. But I'm not thrilled with it. But I also think it will be inoffensive too. It'll just be kind of.
Where is Tanahashi on that night?
He works Japan the day
Yeah,
before.
he back to Japan.
Yeah,
he's in Japan actually.
Yeah,
I think he's working a match like tonight. My time tonight, tomorrow for you guys.
Because what would have been cool is if the Kojima match was like a smoke screen, and at the end of the match, Tanahashi came out, because that place would lose its mind.
So I've said this to Shoot. I think that's what they're doing with Suzuki. I think Suzuki is going to come out, and then that will set up Cincinnati this Wednesday, because they have to obviously do this match before they announce Wednesday, right? So they keep announcing Moxley Homecoming.
Because if this is just a straight Kojima Moxley match, I wish that the timelines the last few months were reversed, because then I would have rather had Yuji Nagata on the pay-per-view and done Kojima on a Dynamite.
This is, for me, I agree with you, but it's hard for me. This was supposed to be Tanahashi, and New Japan changed their mind. So it's hard for me to criticize it too much. It was like, well, we got to get Moxley on the show. And he had called out all of New Japan, so they had to do something. I could see Suzuki. Still not sure that's how they're going to use Suzuki, unless he's going to do 2 AEW matches. I personally think that he's going to be Archer's partner against Men of the Year.
Which I actually prefer, I think, in some ways. As weird as it sounds.
I don't really think he needs to lose to, like, it'd be kind of cool for him and Archer to win. And
him as the MMA guy is so good too. That's such a good deal. Like, you got Scorpio had 2 fights or whatever it was. Ethan's a karate guy, and in comes Suzuki, who fought in like 1993.
This is what I know some people don't like it, but this specifically is one thing I really like about AEW is, like, that story's ongoing, but they haven't done anything with it. And I actually like that. Like, they'll come back to it, and they don't act like we're going to forget that it happened. I really like that they do that. We don't need a new plot point every week. We don't need to get hammered over that. Like, some stories you do, but like this one, they did some build for it. And Archer got beat down. We haven't seen him since. And then he'll come back, and it'll be time to pick the story up, and they'll pick it up right where they left off. It's nice to not get insulted like that.
I don't disagree. I mean, that particular story, I think we have other issues with, but I agree with your core point of the way that they spaced them out. Absolutely. Now, I want to circle back, because you guys kind of agreed you think you're going to get a bloodbath on Sunday in the cage, right? Yeah. And look, thumbs up. The angle they shot on Wednesday was very much setting up that kind of match. No doubt. Like, that was an old school angle, right? The heels banged the baby faces out, and it was great. I loved it. Crowd didn't really know how to react to it, because I don't think they've seen it for a long time, or ever, frankly. I don't know if you guys are going to get that match. I must admit, I have this. It really feels like there's a chance they're going to do, like, insane shit.
Oh, I think they're going to do both.
Maybe, yeah. It's a balance, though, right? It's hard to do, like, spectacular while keeping that spike. Devon and I talk about this a lot. We're talking DMs and stuff. It's like, how do you create the intensity of an old school bloodbath where guys are punching each other and it's violence while also walking the top of the cage and doing a destroyer. It's a balance, right? Devon, how confident are you on that element of this match?
Personally, I don't love their matches together. That is a great point that you make. Here's what I will say: they're definitely going to blade and bleed, but will they work the traditional like cage match that I prefer? Probably not. They'll do a bunch of fucking spots and crazy double team shit, and Phoenix will probably do a psychotic dive off the cage, which will be cool. But it'll probably be a little bit below what I want out of it. But I do think there will be lots of blood. Yes.
Yeah, Devon, would you agree with me that the issue there for that would be because of the Lucha Brothers? Because I think the Bucks have worked multiple styles this year.
The Bucks are very capable of working multiple styles. Like they had a match with the Hardys like 10 years ago that was incredible. I'm not I'm not a huge Bucks guy, but they are definitely capable of working. They're extremely dynamic. You're right though, Matt. The Lucha Bros, I've seen a lot of their matches. I've seen them live. I've seen them now when like when Pentagon's like in a singles match, like he's super charismatic and he can be fun in some ways, but man, they just run. It's like they're working 100 miles an hour and hitting all this stuff, and there's not a lot of the traditional Southern tag psychology that I prefer with Lucha Bros. Young Bucks definitely can instill that in their matches for sure. They don't do it as much as I would like, but I definitely think you're right that it'll probably be, if anything, they'll probably work more like the Lucha Bros, which right. I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, Penta's charismatic as hell, but I don't love them. But yeah, we'll see. I just know it'll be bloody and there'll be lots of crazy shit.
See, this is where I find professional wrestling fascinating. So before we go any further, we need to actually be fair here to the Oracle of Wrestling, right? We all like professional wrestling here, right, guys? I mean, Bob's here too.
It's fine.
Bob likes sports entertainment.
He likes it. But I have to stress legitimately that the Oracle of Wrestling thing is a shoot. Like the amount of professional wrestling the good brother in the top right of your screen there is consumed is insane. So when he tells you his tastes, it is not like, the dipshit that's watched an episode of Crockett TV and wants to be, edgy. Like, he's really got a refined taste. So what I wanted to ask you, and, we'll talk more broadly later, but, while we're on this topic, for this match on Sunday, do you think, because I believe this, the match that you and I are envisaging as our favourite version of this match, where it's just blood and guts and raw, does that get us over with the people as the match that I think they're going to end up having? Because this is something I think about a lot. When I see that angle on Wednesday, I loved it. The people didn't have a clue what to do with it. They didn't know. It's a weird one, right?
Yeah, I think it probably wouldn't get us over. I remember this is a different match in a different environment, but I'll never forget when Punk and Lawler had a cage match actually a few weeks before Lawler's heart attack, and they worked it really well. They worked a really good match, really good old school cage match, and the fucking fans just sat there on their hands and were like, "What is this shit?" Yeah. And this was 10 years ago. Yeah, I don't think the traditional type of something that we would see with the High Flyers versus the East-West Connection or something in 1981 AWA. We're not going to see that. We're going to see a bunch of shit that the fans in Chicago want to see. That's what we're going to see, and that's going to be a lot of spots. It's going to be a lot of whatever the fuck he does with that shit. I don't know. But that's what we're going to see.
It's an interesting thing. Go ahead, Shu. Go ahead.
I kind of talked about this Wednesday. I don't think I said it directly, but I think part of the issue with all of this, with the type of match you're talking about, is the people don't actually hate the Young Bucks. Yeah. They're pretending. They're going along with the act. So to actually do a match where they're supposed to genuinely hate them is going to be hard.
Right. And that's when you saw on Wednesday, Once Upon a Time, and we know why it's different. We're not saying it's better or worse. We're just saying it's different. Once upon a time, those people would have fucking climbed that cage.
That's why I thought it was better that they would have faced fucking Jurassic Express, because yes, they like the Young Bucks, but I feel like because it's this new hot promotion, they'll want to cheer Jurassic Express more.
Right.
With the Lucha Bros and Young Bucks, it's like it's even. Like they're not gonna like be sad for the Lucha Bros getting beat down. Like this is like they would be totally behind Jungle Boy. This is why I thought it was stupid that I don't think the Lucha Bros should have won the tag thing anyways. I thought Jurassic Express should have won and gotten a rematch.
Yeah, I remember I told you guys a few weeks ago it would, and I get storyline why it didn't work. Jurassic Express works here, or Santana and Ortiz getting the Bucks in a cage and people just saying, "Oh, they're gonna beat the shit out of those two."
Yeah.
Like people would have popped for Santana and Ortiz beating them across all sides of that cage.
I gotta
Right,
be honest
that's
with you. I fully understand everything you're saying, and
You're
I
pumped.
legitimately do not care because this match is going to be incredible.
I've kind of got there. I have to admit this, guys. Listen, the Lucha Bros are a team that I wasn't like exposed to that much when they really blew up. You know, and a handful of years ago, right, when they really became a deal in the US, and I didn't watch a lot of that stuff. The last month or so since Phoenix came back, they have really turned the corner with me. As like I'm an actual fan of theirs now. Penta's charisma is something, man.
I mean, we pretty much said they're the best tag team in the world like a week ago.
Sometimes I watch, and this is where it's interesting. So I rewatched the match with with Jurassic Express, and for granted, it's a babyface match, so it's different. But like to Devon's point, there is no structure in that match.
No.
There isn't.
Wow.
But like I have reached a point, for better or worse, where I said, "Fuck it, I don't care."
There's a time limit that I can deal with. Like if you do like a spot fest that like goes maybe 12 minutes or under, I can handle it. When you break a certain point, it's like I'm fucking done. I'm out. Like I'll just kind of stare but not pay attention. You know, I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
The thing that I like though, and we've talked about wrestling enough for me to know this, is that you say that, but at the same time, you're not saying it's bad.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
it's a style that works for the fans that are there. It's not one I prefer,
right.
but it's you know, if it pops the crowds and it gets them over, then they, you know.
See, there's this thing about professional wrestling that a lot of people forget, and that's that it's a very subjective art form. And so it's actually a very legitimate thing to have very different tastes. You know, I think there can be some things about it that aren't subjective, such as terrible creative and canceling matches that you announced on your TV show for the next week. But like the actual quality, like, and I mean, there's bad matches where like they blow stuff, and there's nothing subjective about that. Like clearly they fucked everything up, but
right.
Most of this stuff is like it depends on your taste, man. Like it's really that simple.
Dude, people are terrified of just accepting that wrestling is going to have different genres. And like every other form of entertainment, different people are going to like those different genres, right? Like it really is. And that's why I think we're all pretty like-minded. That's why we all went almost immediately, Miro and Kingston's going to be fun.
Yes.
Because Miro and Kingston are going to have a match that they could have had in 1985 and it wouldn't have been out of place. Okay? And we're for that. But there's going to be a kid in that crowd with the Pentamask doing the deal that Devon referenced earlier. He's going to fight. He thinks Eddie Kingston's lame.
I mean, I think they're going to lose their match. I think they're going to lose their minds that entire match. And I've said this multiple times. It's really hard for me. If a crowd is into something, it's hard not to be into it because that's half the battle. You know, when you got a hot crowd, and that's part of what got me into AEW. Is like those first few shows felt like a party. It was like, holy shit! Like I need to watch this every week. I don't even know if I actually liked the show or not. It was just like the atmosphere, and like, you know, because it didn't really get good till after that first Christmas break. But like, I mean, there really is. That's half the battle with wrestling, and I don't necessarily know that like the younger, more modern fans like Bob O'Neill get that because they haven't seen it.
It's even funnier because Bob and I are the same age, and Joe's younger than us.
Yeah. But Joe's actually 40.
Dude, I posted this very sincere tweet retiring from social media, and I put in there as one line about my age, and I got about 15 DMs being like, wait, you're that old? What the fuck? What's wrong? Like, I thought you was 55, bro. What's going on there? You don't appreciate that. But anyway, Bob.
What's up?
Your thoughts on the many different genres of professional wrestling?
Yeah, there are definitely a
What about ruthless aggression era wrestling?
Yeah, we're doing this. We're definitely doing this. Should we do this now? Do you guys want to do this, or should we save it? What do you think? We're doing it
Before
tonight.
we get into that, Devon, can you give us a Fed Dead?
Fed dead.
Thank you.
Thank Christ, Bob.
What's up, Jack?
You're up.
2007, 2006, bud.
Yeah. No, Brock's back next week in the Garden, so
Jesus
it's back.
What the fuck is Bob doing?
He's writing about South Carolina graduate assistant turned quarterback Zeb Nolan.
Okay, Bob, you tell us when you're ready to go, okay, and we'll start talking to you. Now, I want to know, someone asked for predictions on Wednesday, and we said we'll do it tonight. So this and Jack's here now too, so we've got an all-star cast.
Yeah,
and Bob
I
O'Neill.
don't have to feed the 1 week old until 1 o'clock. I don't think. I don't know.
That's good stuff. Happy for you, Jack. People are very worried about you because the way we talk about you, they think you've had like a medical sort of emergency.
What were you guys saying about me while I was gone?
Yeah, somebody put in the chat that Jack had a baby, not a stroke.
We keep talking about you like he'll be back one day.
My question is, when's the last time Jack Crosby has slept?
Oh, my mother was here before, so I came down here in my basement and I slept for like 2 hours. That was fun. No, actually, she's been an angel. Like my wife and I are like, we're freaked out by it. She sleeps through the night. We just have to wake her up a couple times to feed her because you got to do the every 3-4 hour feeding thing. You feed her, change her, put her back in. She falls right back to sleep. Right? It's like somebody's pulling the ultimate rib on me.
There you
Jack,
go.
are we allowed to call her Penny?
Absolutely. My wife will lose her shit. She told everyone in the family, do not do that. You call her Piggy, you call her Penelope. Do not
What
call
about
her
Penelope? What about Penelope?
Oh, I've done that too. Because my wife knows about the Booker T thing.
I was feeding Joe for that.
Thanks, pal.
No, my wife knows all about that. She's called her Penelope.
So this is how it works right here. Now, look, Reese, we are going to get to the Renee Dupree deep dive at some juncture, I promise. Bob is still preoccupied doing something. I don't know which. But anyway, I wanted some predictions. All-star cast here. Are we getting a title change this Sunday at All Out? Before any of you guys go, I'm going to say, I don't think so, which is kind of wild. Oracle of Wrestling. Are we getting a title change All Out?
No.
There you go. Shoot.
No.
Jack Crosby.
No.
Bob O'Neill.
I don't see it either.
Okay. Which match? So we all agree on those matches. Now, here in the chat, we've got some tag titles talk. I still think Santana and Ortiz are getting those tags.
Yeah.
I will say that I could see them. That's the only match I could see a title change in.
Right.
And I mean, I really could. I don't know that it's the best idea, but I could see Lucha Brothers winning that and then Proud and Powerful beating them. I think that's a mistake. I think Santana and Ortiz should beat the Bucks. But
I agree, but I have to say, I do think they could do more title changes. I know why people hate it because they've been burnt on it and every belt means nothing elsewhere in a promotion we won't name. But, like, there is a middle ground between everyone holding it for 9 months. I guess FTR held it for 2, right? So I guess they've had some sort of precedent. But, see, this one has become prominent. I think if that's going to happen, it will be in a rematch. It feels like Lana's coming in on Sunday, guys. I truly believe that.
Yeah, she is. She is.
And I think that's fun. You know,
Yes.
and we talked about it, Stu. Jack, I know where you're at, and I'll check with you too, Oracle. Like, everyone's so scared about Lana coming in. Like, they're immediately going to go to a shitty angle, and it's like, dude, he's just going to get the hot wife he's been talking about the whole time.
I think that if you let Miro and Lana, well, I guess we'll call her CJ now because that's what. If you let them just go loose, they're going to be entertaining as fuck.
I agree.
Yeah.
I will say that if she shows up on Sunday, she better kick King in the dick.
Agreed.
Because if her music hits and she walks out on stage and he stops kicking Miro's ass and loses, that's trash. I hate that finish.
CJ is pretty striking visually, to be fair.
I just wish
that is true, but come on.
I just wish that Tony Khan could strike a deal with the WWE for the rights to her music. Can we just Lana has the best music in pro wrestling. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is.
Off of it.
So if they could just call it like, you can imagine Tony Khan being Vince. I have one favor. Vince is like, this motherfucker's gonna ask for like Roman Reigns or something. No, guys have the rights to Lana's music, please.
That rules.
That's all I want.
Jack, can I tell you my I'm taking the show totally off course, which is my gimmick.
Okay.
Jack, have I told you my theory that when WWE gets sold to a corporate conglomerate here in about a month, that Tony Khan is going to call them up and immediately try to buy all the WCW trademarks, and they're going to sell them to them because they don't give a shit?
That would be fucking awesome, and Tony would do it too.
Yes, we're going to get AEW Starrcade.
First of all, we'd finally get 1993 worldwide the entire season, and that's the most important thing.
Like Tony calling up WWE, Disney or whomever, being like, "Can I have the race to Starrcade?" And the guy on the other end going, "What the fuck is a Starrcade? Here, take it for $5."
I'm telling you, I mean, he's got to at least try. I mean,
I'm sure he will.
Yeah. Of course, it doesn't
Well, because
help
he'd also have Cody in his ear telling him, "Get my dad's
Right.
stuff."
I'm telling you, he's going to buy it and give it to Cody. I've told you this for the longest, dude. He's going to just buy WCW's licensing and be like, "Cody, please just go and do this over there. I've had enough. Fucking QT, all of these guys. Enough is enough. Go play with them over there in WCW."
I got so mad when Joe said that he was going to buy WWE. I was like, for what?
I was doing a bit and Shoot was like, "We don't want that. Fuck that." Anyway, Oracle of Wrestling, you with us on this Lana deal? This would be fun, right?
Oh yeah. I think she'll get physical. She'll come in behind the ref or something, and kick Eddie in the nuts or whatever. And I think that'll probably and she's that 2014 run with Rusev and Lana was amazing. She's a great second. She's a great valet. She'll excel. She'll do a great job. She won't be restrained. Her full personality will come out,
Right.
and it'll be a good act if it happens for sure.
Do you agree? I'm a big believer that she won't be there all the time. That she'll be
Fair.
like she'll show up for the big stuff.
I don't hate that either.
Yeah,
Especially since Miro's gotten the chance to show how good he is on the mic. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't need her all the time.
It was interesting tonight, and I could be wrong on this.
oh my
'cause
god. Put Reese's comment up. Sorry, put Reese's comment up on the screen because that's fucking incredible.
Long-term storytelling.
Redeem King's nuts. God bless Reese.
Am I wrong in saying that was the first time Miro had done a segment like that in AEW, where he just came out and talked as almost WWE-esque, like a guy
This
coming out
version
grabbing
of
the
him.
mic?
He's done it he did it as the Game Over guy.
I'm sorry to hear that. I don't remember
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah. Kingston is God bless Miro, man. It's hard. Second language. To be out there
Miro
with,
rules, man.
and he was confident because he's one of the top talks in the industry, and Miro didn't feel like he was out of place, right? Like that's a serious accomplishment.
Mhm.
He's a top guy, and he makes that belt feel like a top guy belt, and Kingston's right there with him, so that's gonna be good shit. What
Joe,
is the
can I do the
match?
next question?
Well, I was just about to go
Okay,
ahead.
go for it.
No, it's fine. It's your show. Go ahead.
Do you guys think Ruby's the Joker?
I'm starting to think not.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
so.
I mean, I did. but-
I
Wait,
wouldn't
didn't they announce Blue Sky or whatever
Yeah.
for the last spot?
I don't think she's the Joker though. I think they're either
Okay,
gonna
so they're going to add a spot or take somebody.
or
okay.
somebody's out.
I mean, that's pretty much the thing in AEW now. The Joker is always a surprise. They never announce who the Joker is. Like
Mhm.
it's always a
That's true.
surprise. But I don't, and you know what? It's funny, Matt. I can't tell you why. I just started to get this feeling since she started posting those videos. I was like, I don't think it's her.
I still think it's her, but I totally get why people are kind of out on it now.
Main reason being this one, which Shooters just said, "Fuck it, no matter."
I really don't think it matters. I think number one, like Jacob said, maybe just do 22 because it's imaginary anyway. That was my immediate reaction, which Joe buried me for.
But isn't it? Don't they come in like 4?
Yeah, that is the problem. I think somebody's out. Like I think probably somebody's out. But
Yeah.
that's guy like
Rebel. If Rebel's in it, then she could just not be.
yeah, there you go. Rebel is in it. Have you guys actually seen the clip of him adding her to the match?
No.
I totally you saw it, Oracle. That totally felt like that was spontaneous, right?
Yeah.
Like she
It
was
did.
so over that Tony just walked out there and said, "Fuck it, you're in the battle royal."
Yes, that makes sense. And that he would just be like, we can take Rebel out. Like, you know,
Mhm.
bless Rebel, but I don't think she's got much to complain about if she gets taken out of the casino battle royale.
I heard you guys talk about Ruby on the Distraction podcast, which I found out existed this week. And I've been doing it. Well, it's not even a bit that this week was the first time I've seen a full episode of The Distraction because I have a job.
Because you were on it. That was the one you made a cameo on.
But there is I just feel like she could win and have the title shot and not use it right away. Like,
I don't know.
I don't want it to be like a money. It shouldn't be a Money in the Bank thing, and I'm not saying that. But
Okay, look,
I see the plot holes with it. I get it. That's a moment that you got to do for me, in my opinion.
Here's the thing, and this goes back to my point about title reigns. The instincts for British, she's going to hold this thing forever. Like, why does she have to hold it forever?
Yeah, why couldn't Ruby just beat her?
Yeah, like, because what is the end game? The difference with Kenny is we know where he needs to get. He needs to get to Hangman, right? What's the end game for Britt? Like, just dropping it in Thunder Rosa?
What about and I'm just totally arguing with myself right now, but what about the logic that she was the Joker and then they decided to debut Brian, and so now she's not because she's not the biggest debut of the night anymore?
Yes, she could. So normally after the pay-per-views, they like to have one on that Dynamite.
Yeah.
And she would be a great candidate because it would also be a pretty cool deal if you have Brian on the Sunday to be like, look at what we've done with our women's division, then do that on the Wednesday. The match being a pre-show match always felt like a tell to me that it's going to I think it's going to be someone where you kind of go, that's cool. Not, oh, it's Ruby who's going to be a top girl, you know? Top
what if
woman.
it's Deonna Purrazzo?
I think she's too big of a deal, frankly. I said this on Thursday. Matt Pop, because he's never seen her wrestle.
I've seen her wrestle. She was in NXT.
Good shit. Now, here's the thing. I said this on Thursday, and I don't mean to dunk on Leo Rush, but I do think he's a good precedent to look at.
That's fair.
Leo came in and people went, that's cool, it's Leo, and he did some shit and he got thrown out, and you know, it's fine. What the female equivalent of that is, I don't really know.
I was about to say, so who's out there? Who could that be?
Who else got cut? Mercedes Martinez, is she cleared yet? She'd be a fun one.
Yeah,
Vanessa Bourne.
I love it, shoot. I love the chemistry we've got on here. Bob, you know about women's free agents.
Yeah, I mean, there aren't like a ton that jump out that are like, oh, that would be like a big deal. I mean, you know.
What about CJ Lana Perry?
That'd be cool. We have another role for her on the show, but
listen, I have to say this. No, this is fine. Not that comment. This one,
Oh,
your pal
please,
Kiwi.
no.
Please, she's been in every promotion over the last month.
Yeah.
Please, God.
I'm not
Give me
even
some
as
time.
anti her as a lot of people are.
No,
but
she's just
been
everywhere.
Everywhere.
yeah.
This is good stuff though. Mickey.
Mickey.
Yeah,
Mickey's one where people go,
Mickey.
that's cool, right? They'd
That
like-
would actually
and-
make sense because he sent those girls to her pay per view.
Right.
That could be it.
And she could easily win it and have a one-off with
Yes.
Britt.
That's a good
Nah.
shout. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Dylan, good call. We like that one. Peyton Royce, your faults. Confirm shoot.
Great Instagram account. No, I told Joe this and he buried me. But I'm a big believer that you have to bring them in to wrestle Ty Conti and Anna Jay. I don't even care if you sign them. You have to do that match.
What did I reply to that shoot?
You said it should be on TNA.
I said it should be the hard to kill main event in January next year.
That's you have to do. Am I wrong? Like you have to do that match.
Yeah, you do. No, that's a good idea.
And they all want to do the match too. So
It's good. It's a cool match. I'm surprised they haven't signed them. I'm going to be honest. Like
I don't.
TK,
I really don't think they're going to.
No, it seems like TK just thinks they suck.
All these guys on Kylie, man.
That
Look, here's the deal. I'm going to say this as nice as I can.
Sorry to hear that.
When they started this company, she was positioned as the top female star, and then I firmly believe that her departure, which for her personally was good, but her departure just completely flatlined what they had planned for that women's division when the company started.
Right.
that's
Could-
fair.
yeah.
She was the cornerstone, and before the company even gets off the ground, she bolts. She's gone.
Look,
And
this is a tough one because and we can all sympathise with what we assume was the reason she's had the career she's had thus far. And this is of all weeks, not the weeks, to lessen that. But what I will say is, to Jack's point, in Impact, she was in the title match of their biggest show of the year, and the day before unfortunately, we all sympathise, but it's hard to look past that stuff.
I'm not in any way like bashing Kylie.
Of course,
I'm absolutely not. But at the same time, if you run a business, like you still just have.
It's hard. Yeah, it's difficult. You have to rely on people. It's hard, man. There's no easy way to say it, right? Like, how much can you commit creatively to a talent that you just don't know where they're at professionally?
I say this actually say this as praise of Kylie. If you bring Kylie in as like a Joker type deal, then she's expected to win that match.
She's great
because she's still a big name.
Yeah.
So then you have to sit back and go, but we can't really do that with her. Like, she would have to come back in and just kind of, we'll ease her in. We'll be around her, stuff like that. But like, you put her into that match and she's expected to win.
Mercedes Martinez is an interesting one too, but do we know if she's healthy? Because wasn't she?
She got kicked directly in the brain.
She got lit up, man.
I saw the clip.
Dude, them cutting her really sucks, right? Yeah. That really kind of went under the radar because I don't think she's going to say shit about it, but like, she got knocked out on TV, and that was the last time we see her. Like, that's Bob. What do you say about it as the head of PR?
It's not ideal.
Fair,
good stuff.
I'm trying to look something up before I say it's going to be wrong because I think I'm right.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm good now. So whatever you need to ask me, go ahead.
Good stuff, Bob.
Finally,
only 50 minutes into the program here.
Well, listen, here's the thing. I thought I finished all my stuff earlier, and then I had 3 more things to do, and it's not great.
The next time we do Brock in Time, Bob, and we're watching Brock Lesnar matches together, I'm just going to sit and write fleet files. Like, what are you talking about now, Bob? Is what's going on over there? This is broadcasting here, pal. Now, anyway, look, here's the deal. While Shoot finds out where rest of one. Which match on Sunday?
Outdated by the time we get there.
Is it something really that in depth that you're looking for?
Wasn't she in the first Casino Battle Royal?
Yes,
she was the Joker in 2019. I was right. She was the Joker.
That could be cool.
Do you do that again?
I mean, I don't remember it. Fuck it. Excalibur says it in one line. Everyone pops. That's good stuff. Right, now, here's the thing. Which match on Sunday, other than the Battle Royal, because obviously it's a Battle Royal, which match is the one you're least certain of the result of? So we all agree there's no title change. So which of the other matches are you kind of circling as, I'm not sure about this? I think this question's interesting because I'm so pumped for the pay-per-view, but I don't really know the answers to that. Where are we at, Jack? What are you thinking?
Which match you're
like most unsure on the result of?
Honestly, the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers.
Wow, really?
I'm not 100%. See, like when Matt said before we talked about the title, Jim, we all agreed no. But if there's a match I could see a title change, it would be them slapping the titles on the Lucha Brothers.
So including the rest of the card, though, is that the one you're most unsure of? Like, not even the title matches, just everything on the card, other than the Battle Royal, obviously.
That's because obviously
we've had a few comments.
I agree with the chat, by the way, and I can explain why.
Jericho MJ, yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
Actually, I completely forgot about that match. That's what said, like, this card is so stacked. I forgot about the Jericho MJF deal.
I'm the only dork that listened to Tony Khan on the Unrestricted podcast, and he made it very clear. You did?
Okay, we do a Fleet Week podcast. I have to now. It's my contract.
That's fair. He made it very clear that this was not his idea, and this is not the promotion stipulation. It's Chris Jericho's stipulation, which sounds like an out to me for him to wrestle again in 6 months. So I think Jericho's losing now. But yeah, that one's very up in the. To me, that's the most up in the air match on the card.
You
heard that, right? He like hammered that. Like,
no, he did. But the only thing with that, so this is what's funny about Unrestricted. Every wrestler goes onto it and does like the shoe interview style where it's like they're just talking about their career. Tony Khan goes on there like he's legitimately doing full kayfabe. One of the funniest things you'll ever hear in your life. It's amazing. Bob got fired up there. Bob, where are you at on this? He got fired up. He's ready to go.
Yeah, no, I mean, I also forgot about Jericho and MJF. That's my answer. But I mean, I was going to say like maybe Punk and Darby because I do see a scenario where Darby could beat him. I don't think it's going to happen, but like, it's something you could do. It's a story you could tell. I think Punk did a good job putting over tonight that, he's nervous. He's not necessarily in wrestling shape. He's got his cardio and that's about it. And, we've seen what Darby can do. I still think Punk's going to win, but, if I had to pick, Yeah.
And CM Punk is always a guy that where he loves to screw with the fans.
Yeah,
CM Punk is a guy who could have went to Tony Khan and said, Darby's winning this match.
he could to prove a point.
No.
Almost.
Darby's going to win this match.
I'm a firm believer that Darby's the first opponent because Darby is the guy who can lose to Punk and benefit from it. Versus,
Agreed.
like, it's not. It will actually help him instead of hurt him. We've seen it before with Darby.
I think there is too close. AEW is not mainstream. Punk's arrival is as close as they've got. I don't think you can beat him. I think it would be a bad decision, frankly. I think Jack's correct. I could see him pitching it to prove a point, to make a statement, to shock people. Oracle, where are you at on this deal? What's the match that stands out as one you're least sure of? Are you with the folks on the MJF Jericho, or are you unsure about this Punk Darby deal? Where are you at?
I agree with the MJF Jericho talk, mostly because it's Jericho, and I don't know, feel like he never wants to leave ever. So it's hard to tell. Like, it would make more sense for him to lose in the storyline, I think. But then again, he's lost 3 in a row.
Right.
So it's tough to pick. I'm 50-50 on that one. I really don't know which way to lean. It's to me, it's pretty clearly the toughest match to pick, actually.
Do you guys agree with me that it's the traditional response for us to go that it's a mistake for MJF to lose, but in reality, it won't actually hurt him at all?
Yes. He hasn't been pinned. So here's the deal, guys. I don't know if anyone knows, but it's my birthday this week. Did anyone hear about that?
Really?
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Terrible promotion. I need to get out there more. All Out last year was on my birthday too. I did not do a week celebrating it though. That is the last time MJF lost, I believe, to John Moxley.
Yes.
All Out. I mean, and it goes back to that thing we talked about a million times. Jericho is a bigger deal to the people that sit in the stands than he is to us dipshits doing podcasts about it. They love that dude.
Yeah.
For right or wrong, better or worse, they love
Can
it.
I admit that I actually still really like Chris Jericho?
No, I kind of do too, to the point where when you text me, did you text me he sucks on commentary, or was that someone else?
That wasn't me because I don't think he sucks on commentary.
Tonight, I thought he was actively good on commentary, and I'm wondering if he actually tried to be better.
I agree.
Tonight.
Someone messaged me that, and I was like, I think he's good.
He was way more tempered tonight. He was way more not shouting and being ridiculous. He was way more I think it was probably he saw the reactions and actually is putting in a little bit more effort.
I think he's going to be on Dynamite. I think he's going to lose, and he's going to be on Dynamite and Rampage as an announcer.
I'm stunned by all of this. I don't think he's losing at all on Sunday.
Huh?
They've made this big debate 3-0 down. As you said, he can beat MJF and it won't hurt MJF. I don't know, man. It feels like Chris is gonna win this thing, and I think the only reason they're doing this is because Jericho realized everyone thought he was going to retire at the end of the Labors, and he's like, they should use that to sell a pay-per-view match, right? That's what I think.
It me that we're spending this long talking about the match that I care about the least on this show.
Is that true, though?
It is, because we just saw it, and that's the shit I don't like. I can deal with it with
He's mad.
Usually Matt and I are on the same page, and this is the same. Like when Jericho got in that ring and was calling for another match, I just put my head down and went, "Please don't do this."
Yeah, why wasn't the 5th Labor just the damn? Why wasn't that just this match?
Because he wanted to put MJF over before ultimately winning.
Yeah, that does make sense.
And I'll say this: I agree with you initially. I thought this week's promos I thought they did a step. MJF's promo was immense, and Jericho. I kind of think since turning baby, Jericho's refound himself as a promo. There was a while there when he was working Orange and stuff. It was
I agree.
And then that first babyface promo he did where he messed up all of his catchphrases and shit was not good. He's recently found his way, I thought.
Can I just say how amazing it was that Chris Jericho is this babyface now, but when it came time to talk about Orange Cassidy, he still fucking hates him.
I love that. I love that so much.
much.
Why would he like Orange now? Yeah. Now, see, someone put this in the chat that Tall Paul and QT's higher for me. Yes, it is. I talked about this on Wednesday. I'm excited to see Paul White wrestle.
Yeah.
I actually like Paul White, and I
do too. But come on,
just for his theme song alone.
Yes,
this journey is his life. Have you heard that?
What if QT Marshall just wins that? I mean, it's not going to happen, but
I do. Listen, I've said it before. I think there is a chance that they do a deal where it's like everyone's banned from ringside and Shaq costs Paul White the match to set up Arthur Ashe.
Thing. Yeah.
I also don't think this is true at all. It's going 30 seconds, which is going to really upset wrestling Twitter when they go 7 minutes and QT gets a little bit of heat on his knee and fucking go. That always happens in these matches. Am I wrong for that? Okay, over under 4 minutes. Bob O'Neill, Paul White, QT Marshall. Over under 4 minutes. Over. Oracle.
Over.
Shoot.
Over.
Jack Crosby.
Over.
Oh, wow. So we agree then it's not going to be like a flat squash. He's going to do a little match.
I saw Big Show. He wrestled at the first, and this is peak WWE, by the way. They did Big Show versus Ryback at the first NXT taping out in Columbus because they were afraid that they wouldn't sell tickets. So they added Big Show versus Ryback, and then they chanted "Please retire" at Big Show, and then. Because it's Big Show, the match was good, and by the end of the match, the NXT crowd was cheering Big Show and like chanting for him when he left. People don't understand. Paul White is very good at professional wrestling.
Yes.
I'm sorry if that offends people.
Do you remember those matches with Braun a couple of years back?
Yes.
Those motherfuckers chain wrestled for like 10 minutes, and I thought it was the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
See, here's the thing. The actual play here, to me, obviously, I think Paul has circled Nick Comoroto and Ogogo as two guys he would like to wrestle.
Yeah,
I could see.
I don't know how long he has until Ogogo's back. I think he's going to do a match with Nick Comoroto. He's a big guy, and I think Paul, he loves to work with those big guys and teach them how to do it right. Whether you think it's right or not, I don't know. Your choice.
My only issue with that is you put Comoroto versus Big Show, and he's not a big guy anymore.
No, I understand, but that just is what he is, right?
When he did the Austin thing, and he said when he was teaching Braun the ropes, that Braun had the match with Sami Zayn, and Paul gets backstage, and Paul White's like, "Why the fuck did you fall on your back?"
It's not. He's not.
Look at him and look at you. Why the fuck were you on your back?
Yeah, it's interesting. That's the stuff he loves.
That's my profession.
So much that the chat is mad at us because we like Paul White.
They're not mad.
I'm exaggerating, but yes.
Yeah.
Some shows of support here. He was the real main event of last year's WrestleMania for a reason, which is factual.
That is a fact.
Yes.
Match was good too.
It was. The Randy match was less good. I remember.
Yeah.
God, what if Comoroto does body slam Paul White? God
he will, right? Unless he wants to put a go-go over instead, in which case he'll beat Nick and they'll do that deal, right? And they'll do the knockout punch thing. There you go. There's one for St. Louis. I'll have the Union Jack over my shoulders.
Oh, God, that sounds tremendous.
No. Colton Gunn will body slam Paul White.
They're going to do the Billy Gunn match at some point. Like, Shoot and I talked to us. They're going to do that match.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Colton Gunn is very good. He's undefeated for a reason.
It's gonna be a great day on Twitter when they do Paul White versus Billy Gunn, and all that WWE side of the Twitter is like, oh, look at this, and we're tweeting this fucking rules.
Yes,
match of the year.
Like I said, wait till Mark Henry gets involved.
Oh, we will all pop huge Mark Henry, right? That's a collective.
They're gonna be so triggered.
Yes. Paul White and Mark Henry versus the Gun Club.
Yep, classic, an absolute Mac classic. The Mark Henry rules. I'm all for it. Anyway, I can't believe we just did that. We were talking about Jericho and MJF. One person commented about Paul White.
This show is.
Of course it is. Do we have anything else? We all think Britt's beating Chris, right?
Yeah.
And there's one thing about that match that's intriguing me. Sorry, Ship. There's the one thing that fascinates me. They got a problem with Britt. No one wants to boo Britt. Yeah. But people love Chris. I'm fascinated to see where the crowd is at for this match on Sunday. If they're not with Chris Statlander, you got to just make Britt a babyface. I'm sorry, you can't keep doing this. It's not good. It's not good for anyone walking out and getting booed because you don't do the DMD deal. It's So that's one thing I would watch. But anyway, what was you going to say? Shoot.
Well, I was just going to say people in the chat have been so I saw someone in the chat ask who we thought was going to win the women's battle royal. So I thought that was something we could talk about, even though I don't have an answer.
I reached some sort of conclusion on the main show. I think if it's going to be a babyface, I would do Swole because they have the program for and just circle back to it for a TV match and put a bow on that deal because that was a year ago, right? They did the shitty dentist match. Yeah, I really like what Diamante's been doing on the C shows, and I'll be tempted to roll the dice on her if you want to heal. That's where I'm at personally. I don't know. What about you, Bob? Any takes on the women's battle royale?
Not really. I mean, like, because it feels like it's going to just be a match on Dynamite, right? Like, it's not going to be a whole big thing. Like,
Oh yeah, they may even do it this week.
Dynamite's huge for them though, man. It ain't like, you know.
No, I know, but you know what I mean, though. Like, it's not going to be like a whole big, like, drawn out thing where it's build and build.
Right, yeah.
It's going to kind of be a match, and
they just don't do that anyway, though, right?
Well,
I mean, Chris and Britt. Let's be honest. There's no meat on the bone as far as a program there. Chris is just a top contender, and she came out once to make a save, and that's, which sucks. We fully understand that's not good, but I don't know. Oracle, any picks for the women's battle royale?
I know it's probably not going to be Thunder Rosa because that's I think that's the Full Gear match. It'll be somebody to have a Dynamite match, probably maybe at Arthur Ashe. I like the Diamante pick.
Mm-hmm.
I think Anna Jay's a possibility.
Yeah.
Now that she's back, I think that's a possibility. I kind of think I would lean towards Anna Jay.
It's interesting. That'd be a big spot for her. I'd actually really like to see how she'd fare in that.
I think it's gonna be Riho. I'm serious. I think it's gonna be Riho.
I'm not laughing at that shit.
I know.
I'm laughing at Josh's comment.
I saw people mention Ty, and the only problem with that is she got a title shot earlier this year and she lost, which Joe and I definitely remembered.
Yeah, definitely.
And so having her lose again, I don't know that I now.
The other problem is the one I mentioned on Thursday. I don't want Ty going out there with a big smile getting booed by the Britt Baker fans.
Oh God, that would be I would be so mad.
Yeah, and I think it could happen. I don't want that to happen.
Which I guess would be a problem with Riho too. I do think Britt, and I think Tony even said this recently, that like Britt and Thunder Rosa is like the long term, like that's a match they're protecting. Well, how do you turn Britt babyface if that's your? I mean, you could turn Thunder Rosa heel, but that's don't do that. Over.
Just do a Clash of the Titans style deal, I think, right? Like it isn't. It's still heated because of their history, but it isn't like good and bad. If that makes sense.
That's fair.
I agree with you. That is a slight problem for sure. When Serena's back, she would be such a good heel opponent for babyface Britt because she could really lead a match and take it, But when I don't know what that is and what the situation is with her, so yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Anything else on All Out we feel like we need to touch here before we move on to the ruthless aggression era of the World Wrestling Federation?
No, we're not.
We're
not doing that, Joseph. I did not take time away from my 1 week old to come talk about the ruthless aggression era.
Go ahead, Oracle. Go ahead.
Hold on. Let me say this about the title match with Kenny and Christian. Their Rampage match was excellent, and I'm a huge Christian fan. The reason I've gotten into yes, easily.
Oh, thank you, God.
Trust me. 2009 ECW Christian, all-time great year. But Christian has something that he does so well with putting his matches together, and he does something that us nerds call learn psychology, where he changes and switches up spots in matches. So it might be worth going back to rewatch that Rampage match with Kenny, because I know Christian. He is going to have callback spots, numerous in that match. And I would not be shocked to see like him tease another "I'm pretty" on a chair or something like that. He's one of the smartest wrestlers ever, and I'm actually really looking forward to that. And it's a point that I kind of wanted to make earlier, but I wanted to go ahead and get it out.
If there are, Devon, if there are two people I trust to take a great match they had first time and turn in an even greater one the second time, it's Christian and Kenny Omega.
I do agree. Yes,
they will figure it out. Those two.
Yes,
I don't think there's two wrestlers you could that I would trust more to Danielson.
Christian's really great because he's used to like when you work WWE for so long, they make you wrestle them programs. You wrestle guys like him and Randy wrestled them 4 or 5 times.
Oh God! And every single match, if you watch them all in succession, which I've done before, there's little intricacies and stuff that are in those matches that are just mind blowing. It's so good. Cesaro's another guy who's really good at that as well. Yeah. And but you know that Christian paces his matches so well. And I'm not the biggest Kenny fan, but the guy can bump, the guy can go, the guy can pace really well. yeah, this is going to be a really good match. I'm a little bit worried about it going too long.
Yeah.
But I trust Christian. I trust his smarts, and I'm really looking forward to it.
They're going to call back everything from that Rampage.
Oh yeah.
I have no concerns about the quality of the work. My two worries are the one that Devon hit there with the time. Definitely that worries me a little bit, not much. My biggest concern is the placement of the match. I don't think anyone in Chicago is going to believe that Christian's going to win that title. I believe they can work them into believing it, but it will need to be positioned correctly, I think, for that to be the case. I think if they put them in a spot where it's very obvious to the audience this is second fiddle, I think that's there. Now, before I was going to move on from all that, but I actually think Punk is such a big deal that we need to do, because something's interesting about this.
Yeah, did you guys want to talk about CM Punk? Did you know
this is the deal? This is what's interesting to me. This is the confirmed shoot. Who's getting fired up at me and saying that I bury him all the time, and I haven't. There you go. He's there. And the Oracle of Wrestling, they both said the same thing to me. They said when CM Punk came out on the first dance, it was like they had been reminded of how big of a fan they were once upon a time. And I think that's such an interesting thought as someone that wasn't like wasn't watching even really at that. Like it seems like a lot of the wrestling world has done that. Like they've reconnected with this friend they haven't had for years. It's crazy.
Yes.
So with that in mind, I mean, this is to both of you, but we'll start with you, Shoot, because you're fired up at me. And you're fired up at them doing a rematch from the TV from 2 weeks ago, which got you very fired up. I was very angry about that. How raw is your excitement for this match? Like, is this actually a case where you can't wait to see this match with CM Punk? I'm really intrigued. Yeah.
I'm very excited for it. I don't even think I truly realize how excited I am until I'm actually going to see it. Like I said, there was a part of me when he first came back that was worried, and I'm not even worried anymore. I actually think like the way he's trying to downplay expectations tells me that he's very confident and like that he's working. And Darby's the perfect first opponent, like in every way. He's gonna bump like crazy. God, we saw that tonight.
Oh,
he's a maniac. He's gonna make Punk look like $1 million.
That
and
bump.
the atmosphere is gonna be incredible. There's something special about it because like Punk was my guy, and yet, especially in retrospect, but even at the time, you knew that he wasn't ever really that happy, and now he's like happy, and it's like you actually like just seeing him come out on that show and be fired up, like it's like an emotional reaction for me. Like this is a big deal, and I like once it's gonna be wild once he actually wrestles and like becomes a reality, because part of it still doesn't even feel real yet to me. But like once we actually see him in his gear and like he has a match and he hits, that damn clothesline in the corner into the bulldog, like I'm gonna lose my shit. Like I'm gonna stand up in the movie theater and throw popcorn at people.
that rules, by the way. The movie theater deal, I'm so jealous. But Oracle, are you on the same line of thinking there? Like, is this a deal where you are sincerely positioned as a fan? Because we all love those moments, right? We love talking about wrestling, analyzing it, but sometimes you need to just feel that raw energy. Is that where you're at with this Punk deal?
Oh man, for sure. So this is going to be a rant, not unlike my brother Dylan's. So I started watching wrestling in 2000. I was like 7, so I didn't see like when Ring of Honor started. I was 9. I didn't have we had one computer at my place. Dylan was already living on his own, so like any sort of outside like WWE, TNA stuff I would get was from him. So I would see things like about Punk and Bryan specifically in the magazines. Like I remember like getting like the old PWIs, whatever, and like the Punk Raven feud and how big that was at the time, back in 2003 Ring of Honor, and just seeing that stuff. And of course he was in TNA, so I was a little bit familiar. But the thing that really caught him about me is that he was straight edge, and he came into WWE when I was in 8th grade. And when when he got big when I was in high school, and I don't drink, I do drugs, that connected with me personally on a personal level. So I was immediately a fan. And he was a Punk guy, and my brother Dylan was a Punk guy, and I used to go to hardcore Punk shows when I was a kid. and go to his performances, so that connected with me. And you know, he was probably, like Matt, my favorite wrestler in a broad sense from 2008 to 2013. There was something about him that he could do that nobody else in wrestling at the time could do in terms of character work and being dynamic as a character and making things interesting, particularly in the setting and environment that he was in WWE. Like, he fucking shaved Serena Deeb's head on fucking, a taped Friday Night SmackDown. That's crazy. In 2010, peak PG WWE, he like sang "Happy Birthday" to Aaliyah Mysterio in the most creepy, horrifying like fashion. Like, he just, there were things that, like the Rumble performances in 2010 when he was like doing his like straight edge sermons in the middle of the fucking Royal Rumble. Or the next year when he was in the new Nexus, which sucked, and he made the best out of that he possibly could, and he had the new Nexus guys like his army like keeping him in the Rumble that year. Like, they're just the things that he can do are really good, because from bell to bell, listen, the guy's sloppy. He's not the smoothest wrestler. He messes shit up. Sometimes he does stuff that he can't do. Please try to do the Pepsi plunge, though. Please. God, I'm begging him. I don't care if he's 42. I feel like that's some crazy shit he might try, but, we'll see. But, he was a really special wrestler. And when he left, for all the right reasons, let's be honest here, he left for all the right reasons. At the time, I was slightly bitter. I was more disappointed than bitter, I guess. I was just, oh, man,
Right.
And I don't really know that I missed him at like when he was gone, but when he came back, it was like I'm not gonna lie, like I wasn't like weeping like that guy was, which is totally okay.
Right.
But I definitely teared up when he was kneeling down on the aisle. I was like, oh shit, man, this hits me, like this has hit me right now. Like, this was like, if for some wrestling nerd like me, he was about as close as a hero could be. Straight edge guy, punk guy.
Right.
Attitude, anti-establishment, like it was. So yeah, this is a big deal, and I'm confident he's going to do everything he can to make Sunday work.
Bro, I know TK watches these shows. He needs to go and clip Devon's monologue there, because that fucking ruled. That gave me chills, man. That honestly got me more fired up for his shit. What was you going to say? I'm sorry.
Well, what rules is like we both have like this same level of connection with this guy, and it's for two totally like. The stuff he was like, that doesn't relate to me at all. I'm not really, I drink a little, but I'm not straight edge or anything like that. But that part of it was like, for me, I didn't like, surprise. I didn't see CM Punk until he came to WWE. I knew who he was. Like, I knew of him. I knew like it was a big deal. Shut up, Jack. But like immediately from day one, like I was like, this guy fucking rules. And then, from probably like what 2007 on, WWE was in this weird place where like I watched it all the time, and it's like on some level you hated WWE even though you were a fan of the product, which is something they produced, by the way. Like, we've talked about this before, and so like Punk was always not a WWE guy. Like, the whole time he was in WWE, you never felt like he was a WWE guy. There were times like kind of what the Bryan deal was. You kind of had that with Punk beforehand, where it's like they won't get behind it. Remember I know like the Survivor Series match when when he was the most over guy in the ring, and like little things like that, like the connection. And like we've talked about this before, the connection that Punk's fan base has is different from, I think, literally any wrestler that exists right now.
Yeah.
It's a different level of like, even just in Chicago that first night, all he had to do was do this so he could talk, and the whole crowd, like they wanted to hear what he wanted to say. Like what he want, like.
There was always an aura about him too, and this goes with Bryan too. Like, and I mentioned it briefly earlier, but like these guys, I didn't see this. I was a kid, I didn't start branching outside of that stuff till I was 15, and that was in 2008. By that point, Gabe was out of Ring of Honor, and before he left, the things were going kind of south, anyways, and Punk was already going to be becoming a star. Brian was on his way out. So by the time I started branching out, that era was kind of over. But I remember like Dylan showing me Cage of Death in 2006. And I remember Dylan telling me about the Steamboat stuff with Punk. And what was it, like 04 Ring of Honor? And then, of course, the Summer of Punk. I remember reading about that in the magazines, hearing about that. Like, there's just something like there was just an aura about these guys that I experienced at my age that I think people, maybe Jack and Matt's age, probably experienced some with Sabu or somebody like that. That you hear about these guys and you only get like snippets of them. When you eventually get to see them, it's like, oh man, this is amazing. So it was such a big deal when Punk and Brian came in, and of course they lived up to the hype. And
Right.
These guys to me, these are two of the best, probably 5-10 best wrestlers of the last 20 years easily.
I mean, I wish I could explain to you guys the Summer of Punk, the legitimate shock when he won that ROH title, because it was a simple system. You read on the internet, guy signs with WWE, gets a farewell match. Okay, we know he's losing, but that's cool. We get to see him one last time. When he won that night, I couldn't even utter a word. I was like, what the hell are they doing? You start thinking, you're like, wait a minute, did he not sign with WWE? What's going on here? And then when you come to learn the story after, you're like, that was a fucking genius move. And then when he was telling those people, every time he was in front of them, I'm taking this belt to WWE with me. Fuck you guys. That was that was just like, it was so shocking and so cool at the same time.
That time is so fascinating for so many reasons, right? You go from 3 national promotions to 1 in one fell swoop, right? And the industry rebuilds with this kind of, it's interesting that phrase is a boom period, but like critically, it definitely was a boom period, right? Yeah. Like those early to mid 2000s. And I think, talk about the mystique those guys had. It's hard for me to capture because I'm watching it all looking back, but it's such a unique set of circumstances, right? Like nowadays, if your favorite indie wrestler is, Yehi, whoever it is, I don't know, Yuta, Garcia, those guys are still independent, I guess, right? Or Moriarty. I mean, brother, you can watch those guys wrestle multiple times a week.
Yes.
There was a time where Gabe would do these matches and he would book for, we need a critical review strong enough that those DVDs are going to sell.
It's a DVD, yeah.
Yeah, and it's
a DVD
crazy.
product.
There you go. That's perfect. Now, and Jack, I know you're a big Grin one. Like, so where is your excitement level? Because I'm just, it's fun to me listening to how much people fight up this match. Where are you at?
I'll tell you guys what I think is the money idea here. And I don't think it can happen. I don't say it won't think, because I don't know if it can happen.
Oh my God.
This match is in Chicago, Illinois.
Hang on, Jack. Bob, where is this match taking place?
It's in Hoffman Estates, but it's fine.
Yeah. There you go, Bob. I'll give you that. Jack, carry on.
Fucking hell.
It would be one of the greatest pro wrestling ideas of the last 10 to 15 years if Colt Cabana beats the shit out of him. Jesus. In front of those people.
I don't know.
It either costs him the match, or as Punk is celebrating after the win in front of those Chicago people, if they're on somewhat good professional terms, Colt Cabana goes out there in front of those people and beats the piss out of him, then we're off to the races with a program for the ages.
You know what my issue is with that, Jack? It reminds all of us that Punk's an asshole.
Well,
maybe,
yeah, but I mean,
but yeah,
when we talk about trying to incorporate real life into wrestling angles, which 9 times out of 10 works if you do it correctly.
Man,
having Colt Cabana go out there,
I think that one's too real. Like, I wouldn't touch that one.
I don't, but oh man, in front of those people, imagine Punk celebrating. Imagine Punk celebrating after the win, and the reaction from those people is Colt Cabana. Either his music hits or he walks down that ramp, and people are like, "Oh shit!"
Brother,
I'm gonna-
Colt's in the Dark
I-
Order, man. Like,
I'm going to do something I would never usually do, but that is too inside baseball. Chicago would like it, but it would be lame. Like
I don't want them to ever acknowledge that on TV.
I get why you're saying, but like what I mean is this, okay? If Punk's just won his first match back. Remember that TK is claiming this did most clicks on ESPN since May. I ain't sending Boom Boom out there for a fresh angle, man. Like, I'm sorry, I love Colt, but it is what it is, you know? Like, it would pop us, maybe, but like, Chicago would like it, but would it really be a big angle?
What would pop me, and I'm not talking about now,
Right.
and I don't, like I said, I don't know that it can ever happen because we've talked about this before, and I'm of the opinion that they're never going to interact on TV ever.
Yeah, I don't think they have to. He's in Dark Order. He's, carry on.
I would be far more moved and entertained for them to team than to fight each other. Which again, I don't think that's going to happen, but yeah, I don't. And I'll be honest, like you even said you don't think it could happen. I don't think Punk would ever agree to do it. I don't think Colt would either. But I don't know, man. Like, I would rather not be reminded of that whole thing.
This is what I think shoot is like. This would be more striking as a segment if Colt made a save in a Chicago spot, especially people would love.
They somehow got on good terms.
Of course, yeah. But I don't know, Oracle. Where are you at on that deal?
Ace, steal, or bust.
Okay.
Yes.
There you go.
Well, here's my pop for Joe specifically. Luke Gallows.
I was going to say Bud Matt.
I saw a meme. I don't know, a few days ago. It made me laugh because since they could all be there at the same time. If they did a backstage segment, sort of like WWE style, where Punk runs into Gallows and Serena Deeb and just looks at them and says, "Where have you two been?"
Yes,
and then just walks away.
Well, I think like Punk and Gallows is funny because like what we know Gallows is now versus when
there's some stuff there.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
Yeah, I would leave it alone.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that Punk's going to have to avoid.
Jericho was. You text me that shoot. Jericho and him.
Yo, it was super awkward seeing those two.
Yeah, it was cool though, wasn't it? Like
it was super awkward.
It was weird initially. Like it felt weird.
Yeah. I would. Again, my personal opinion is that we won't ever see Colt and Punk on TV together. I mean, there was people that were legitimately worried that like they would get rid of Colt so they could bring Punk in. I'm glad we didn't get to like that level.
No, I'm telling you, people don't appreciate like this is not an NBA team with 15 dudes.
Yeah, you can avoid each other. Yes.
Yeah.
They've got 100 professional wrestlers. Like, and this be real base again. I'm not trying to do the casual fan thing, but like, so I always show my brother. Okay, he sees Colt when Colt comes out and does this deal with the Dark Order. Okay, at no point is my brother going to say to me, "Holy shit, Punk and Colt haven't crossed paths yet."
That's
like,
true.
And I'm not saying that there's definitely a part of the audience that would care and be into it. I'm just saying it isn't like a thing where it'd be an obvious, whoa, they haven't put those two. Like Colt's slotted. He's a mid guy. It's fine. Nothing wrong with it. It's just what it is.
Perfect example. My wife loves Colt Cabana. Like legitimately, like she's a huge, and I guarantee you she doesn't even know that they're friends. Like she has no, if they put that on TV, she would ask me what the fuck is going on. Because Colt's the guy who came into AEW and he was in that tournament and they did the promo package for him and he was like really likable in it. And then he was in Dark Order and he's just like this likable, nice guy.
Yeah.
And like him attacking CM Punk, she wouldn't have a fucking clue what was going on.
Like, and I'm not even trying to explain it.
Yeah, it would just be me trying to. Well, what happened was he went on a podcast, and then you know they sued each other, and it went to court. Like, yeah, I fully get where you're coming from, Jack, and I agree completely that it would like for me personally, I'd be like, holy fucking shit, and like the match would rule, and you know all that stuff. But I can't. It's too inside baseball.
My thing is, if you have a TV show, if you do it, I'm saying I don't think it, but if you do it, and that crowd's going to know, and they're going to have a big reaction. If you tell the commentary team to put it over, then people watching that are going to realize, no matter what, they're going to realize this is a big deal for some reason.
Fair.
They're going to realize, holy shit, like Colt Cabana attacking him is a big deal. And if you can properly explain that on your television show, you can make it work.
I just don't. Punk doesn't even want to talk about it, so I can't imagine him being willing to put it on TV. Like it's still like it's not funny. That's not the right way to put it. But when they asked him about, they didn't name Colt specifically. They asked him in the media call about people he's at.
They quote unquote they.
Yeah, and who did ask that question?
Who do you think?
And he said, I didn't have a problem with anyone here. And Colt wasn't there that night. He was at the gathering of the Juggalos. I don't know. It's too, I don't know. It's too heavy too. Like, it's just too, man, we're just trying to fucking enjoy Punk, man.
And that is what it is, right? It's not good. Like, people are getting mad about the fact Punk keeps just like coming out, and it's like,
I fucking love it.
People just want to see CM Punk, guys. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's
wow. Okay.
A few months down the line, when a little bit of this wears off, Punk will start doing the character stuff and stuff. I expect that to happen.
Agree. And I think the big thing with Darby is, Bob, I am going to throw it to you, mate, I promise. The big thing with Darby is they don't want to alienate. If someone's just come back to wrestling for CM Punk, they want them to leave this saying, fuck, Darby's my new favourite wrestler alongside CM Punk. Doing a big heated blood feud is not the play right now. It's a match, right? It's a cool match.
They're 100% doing the 6-man tag after this, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's clearly obvious.
And when they do that, they need to leave this 2.0 and Daniel Garcia are wonderful. They need to then leave these people alone.
Yes. Daniel Garcia will start winning some matches.
Well, overrated winning matches, pal. Look at the other two.
Yeah, I'd like to see Daniel start getting some W's on Rampage and Dynamite. Like, I'd like to see him start
for Bryan Danielson, brother.
Yeah. Bob has muted himself. Bob, hello?
Yeah.
How excited are you for CM Punk, former Ultimate Fighting champion?
No, I mean, they probably shouldn't. Listen, my point that I wanted to make a couple minutes ago.
Jesus, what happened? Why did he tell us to listen then? We were listening, wasn't we?
No,
I'm just happy he's talking. Calm down.
Yeah, no, before we move on or whatever, I just did want to make the point. Like, when Sting came in and they just had Tony Schiavone interview him every week, and there were people that were like, oh, that's stupid. And they're just doing it with Punk now. People just want to see them. Like, that's okay. And now Sting's in a role that is good for him.
They would rather he just wrestle a mid-card guy every single fucking week and go 50-50 and be a great big loser.
Bob, the thing about your generation of wrestling fans, I love that I do this to him every time, but they don't understand that a storyline can take place over a number of, even months, and that there doesn't need to be a development every single week. And that you can do, like, the Sting thing fucking ruled, man.
They got there in the end, right? Like, when he eventually got to wrestle, no one was bored of Sting then. Like, it's fine.
Well, I mean, if you watch old WCW clips, they played, like, the same fucking angle on Worldwide and Pro, like, 3 weeks in a row,
That's what... I think I tweeted this at the time, too. They were mad that Sting kept coming out and doing a promo when they went a fucking year where Sting didn't do anything.
By the way, Devon, how much did it pop you when you saw that TK actually said, I want Dark to be like WCW Worldwide? I mean,
yes.
That's tremendous stuff. That's fan service.
That's the best thing, man. That's the best thing. I finally started watching the C shows. Punk's debut has turned me into a member of the All Elite fleet.
You're not alone on that.
I jumped on that bandwagon and I started watching Dark Elevation, and just Eddie Kingston's commentary alone is worth the hour. I mean, it's amazing.
It's so awesome, like, because we're so used to a certain style of commentary on Major League Wrestling, right? And everything's so produced, and King is literally flying by the seat of his
He's
pants.
Dusty Rhodes. He's like Dusty. He's going Dusty, man.
He's like, Joe, I'm sure you agree with me, Joe. Like, he's getting more insane every week.
Yes, at the start he was almost professional. He's lost his mind now. I know what he's doing. He seemed like he was drunk one week. He was all over the place. It was amazing.
God, yes.
He's great. He's tremendous. I do want everyone to know, this is patrons, I can say this. if it wasn't clear from the Eddie Kingston video clip that appeared on the distraction, Eddie was he was pretty inebriated. He was in an interesting state. If you look at deep in the eyes, you can see some stuff that happened that night. I want everyone to know. I'm putting myself over here. I'm putting Luther over really, who's definitely a patron, so I'll bury him. Ed Kingston left the table with some very big professional wrestling stars to fulfill Luther's request of doing a birthday wish for me, which is a tremendous rib. Luther, if you're seeing this, God bless you. Bob O'Neill.
Incredible.
You didn't answer my question at all. Are you excited for CM Punk, the Ultimate Fighting Champion, Phil Brooks?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't probably bill him like that, but no, I am excited. Like, he was a guy, like, I didn't watch WWE for quite most of when I was in high school, so I got back in like 2011, right when all the Punk stuff was happening again. So he's a guy that I connect with. He's from Chicago. That's great too. I'm excited. Like I think he's going to be good too. Like I know we had questions about that leading up to this whole thing, but I think he's going to be good. He seems obviously motivated. He seems happy. I'm ready for it, man.
I have a very fun topic, Bob, that is purely in my brain for you, okay?
Yep.
We're all going to play together, but we're going to let you take the lead on this because you said you wasn't tired, so we're going to make the most of you here, right?
Yeah.
I watched a handful of Brock Lesnar matches, and I concluded that journey with the CM Punk match from SummerSlam 13, right? 2013.
Yeah.
My conclusion was that, in my humble opinion, that is the greatest Brock Lesnar match ever. That's my take. That's where I'm at.
Well, the thing is, and it's interesting.
Bob, can I just set the? I'm doing this. It's only for you. Can you at least let me set the damn table?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, we're going to finish with you, but I want to go round the horn for a second here. Jack, we obviously have a Brock Lesnar enthusiast on the call. I don't know if you remember that match. When I say to you best Brock Lesnar match, what comes to your mind personally?
Brian.
Yeah, he's going to say my answer.
Brian.
So,
Brock Lesnar literally got caught on camera saying that was fun as shit. When he literally said that was fun as shit when he and Brian got done.
Yep.
There you go. So, Shoot, you're with him on that?
Yes.
Oracle.
I would put the Styles match above Punk too, and I love the Punk match. But
Speaking of the Styles match,
oh, here we go.
Devon and I watched together.
We did at my parents'.
That's tremendous.
I would say, well, mine would be Brian Brock by far. The Punk match to the AJ match to B.
Okay,
that's how close I would put them.
So, Oracle, was that your answer, the AJ match, or are you just popping yourself?
Well, I was popping myself there.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's a tough one, man, because it's hard for me to pick. I still really like the Extreme Rules 2012 match. People hated that Cena won.
Yeah.
It's such a great match. That's a blast.
Listen, man. When the first spot in that match, sorry, my eyes. I've been getting over bronchitis, so there's all kinds of weird shit going on. But when he took him down and fucking hard way open Cena, we're watching this shit. Okay, my dad been watching this shit for way longer than I have. Back when Terry Funk was in Amarillo, my dad's like 70. He goes up out of his chair and goes, "Oh my God, he's shooting on Cena. If I were Cena, I would kick him in the nuts right now. I would kick him in the nuts right now." And so, like this, I'll never forget that. That first 3 minutes was insane, and for the time period, that's again PG WWE. That shit, we hadn't seen that shit in years. First of all, we hadn't seen anything like that in WWE, but we hadn't seen blood in 5 or 6 years by that point. And that match to me, and the spot where Brock goes bouncing off the top rope and almost kills himself like a fucking lunatic. I mean, to me, that is, and the build for that match was amazing. Where Brock was cussing out Cena and the sit down interview, and of course the pull apart brawl where he busted Cena's mouth too. But God, that match was so good. It's tough. To me, it's more like there's the top 4 of the Cena Extreme Rules, It's almost like a Mount Rushmore with the Brock matches. Punk, SummerSlam, and then the 2 back-to-back Survivor Series matches with AJ and Bryan. I know this is a cop-out, but it's really hard for me to pick. I probably would still pick the Cena match, but it's close.
It's crazy to me. There's this whole conglomerate of people who hate Brock Lesnar, don't want to see him. I think Brock is underappreciated. I think people don't appreciate Brock Lesnar enough.
In ring, he is so much better than people realize. He's one of the best salesmen in the history of the business.
Yeah.
However, Jack, we have to be fair. There is some nuance to it, right? I mean, Devon and I have talked about it a lot. I think we love Brock, and if you put him on a poster against a guy that we think's good, we're going to watch it. And frankly, a guy that's not good will pop and watch him beat up Braun. It's fun, you know. But we have to be real. Their usage of him has been so one note. They have killed interest.
Yes.
I personally, I can only do so much, man.
I don't blame that on Brock. Brock, by far, we can all probably agree. Brock is the greatest businessman in professional wrestling history. He's the best. So that motherfucker goes, wait, you're going to pay me $5-6 million to do 4 matches this year? Brock probably is like, I don't give a shit who you put me against. Just give me my money and tell me when I got to be there. I don't blame him for doing that at all.
Everything about that is incredible too, because it's literally like the antithesis of what WWE's tried to build.
Yes,
with not being star driven and their brand being the draw, and then they pay this dude an exorbitant amount of money, and someone's going to tell me I'm wrong, but there's really not any evidence for the last 5 years that he has any impact on their business at all.
Here's the thing too is you could, if he has a tiny impact, you could argue that the effect of him on TV prevents others from being impactful in that regard.
Yes.
Him being champ for 6 months without being on television. By the way, I love that we've hijacked this Celebrate Bob segment and just fucking eviscerated the usage of Brock Lesnar. Him being champ on Raw for 6 months without being on TV actively limits the progression of guys under. So you're slowing the roster's kind of client. There's a lot to it, man. And it's a bummer because I think we all agree Brock is a once in a lifetime anomaly professional. He's absurd.
You'll never see another Brock.
The Roman Mania match too. That one.
Yeah.
Well, the first one.
I want to mention another match too.
Yeah.
And it's weird to put it in this class. It's kind of a hard match to classify, but that Goldberg match at WrestleMania,
I was there a lot for that shit.
It was good.
That's one of the most perfectly laid out matches of all time.
It's not a bit. It was perfect.
Seriously, we got to give that Survivor Series match, and I'm not talking about it being a great match, but that's one of the greatest fucking moments I've ever seen in professional wrestling.
That 6-month build was outstanding. Great. Yeah. That was the best probably story. The Joe build was incredible, and by far the best Brock
Fire match is fucking.
And there's a good one at the bottom of the thing. We forget that him and Fergal put on a banger at the Royal Rumble.
That match was outstanding. That match was great.
Dude,
see, that's the thing with Brock. I love when Brock Lesnar gets a guy he really, really, really wants to work with.
Yes.
Because then you're going to get the next level Brock. So guys like Finn, Brian, AJ, Joe, when you could tell Brock Lesnar is really into an opponent in a feud.
Well, you know what the key is,
he's
right?
Off the charts.
That they're good wrestlers.
Well, that and you have to punch Brock immediately.
Yes, you do.
Finn,
but this is where they suck
up immediately.
Yep.
This is where they suck, though, right? Any professional wrestling booker would have sat and watched that AJ and Brock match and been like, "Holy shit, we're penciling in for Mania now." They will never touch again.
Yeah.
And while that is fun in its own weird way, that is so WWE, right? They're just never gonna interact again, man. It's what it is.
You're right. You can't be scared. When he was doing the thing with Braun, and you saw the report, Braun, he knew Braun was scared.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I don't want to fucking work with this guy.
Braun need him in the face, I know.
Yeah.
The big problem was someone told Braun, "You're gonna have to be physical, bro," and he need him directly in the head, and Brock beat the fuck out of him.
There's never going to be anything funnier, and it's hard because I was totally in on this bit, and Devon, I can't remember if you were or not, but Brock, them building to Brock and gender, and Brock being "Fuck this, man, we're not doing this."
Yes. And they still paid it off a year later, or whatever, when he wrecked the Sin, the Singh brothers. That's what everybody wanted to see, and he did it like on TV like a year later.
That match would have
You
sucked.
know, no, it would have been terrible. And look, I like Jinder as a character, but come on, that match would have been fucking terrible.
Yes.
It rules though because they
But-
clearly pivoted, and AJ then held the belt for a year.
Yes.
Fuck it. It's tremendous stuff. Bob, here's your moment, pal.
Well,
Yeah,
guys, really quick, Bob, you go because this turned into no. I said this is turning into a 4-man show. I gotta go.
No, yeah.
Okay, pal. Have a great night, Jack.
See you, Jack.
See you guys.
See you, buddy.
Speak soon, Bob.
Well, that
No.
ruled.
So, I mean, first of all, I think there's some merit to like, oh, he shouldn't have the title for, months on end to just not be on TV. Like, that's not ideal. I think the Undertaker stuff in 2015 was actually pretty good. And that was, non-title. The Hell in a Cell was very good. I mean, the SummerSlam match was what it was. But, yeah, so I'm kind of curious. Like, I'm hoping he doesn't beat Roman. I don't think he's going to. And then from there, just kind of have him do non-title stuff.
I hope he beats Roman.
No.
Well, you have to remember, Bob,
Really is
that I'm
rigged.
like trolling when I
No,
say
I know. Yeah, I get it.
I will log back on so happy that day, and Shoot will message me 8 different enemies of mine pretending it's good.
I also thought it was interesting that, I mean, the Bryan match is probably my pick too. Like, Vaz is going to pick one, but yeah, everyone just picked stuff from his second run, and I don't know if it's a recency thing or.
I think it's better. Legit.
I don't remember any of his. I mean,
That's fair.
like
I mean,
details,
What match
I
from
really-
the first run would you say, Bob?
I don't know. I love that Rock match, man. Like,
It's very good. Yeah, I like it a lot. But
I like the Undertaker Hell in a Cell a whole lot.
yes, I would say that's his best one from the first run. I agree.
Yes, and the angle matches. I mean, you know what you're going to get, but they're good.
Sorry to hear that.
Is the Big
and-
Show stretcher match good? Because I remember liking it, but I don't
It's
know.
better
if
than the
it's
60-minute Iron Man that Brock and Kurt.
Yeah. I like the Big Show stretcher match a lot because he jumps off a forklift like 20 feet into the ring. And
Oh, God.
Jacob here. Good
Yeah.
call from Jacob.
yes, I was getting to that one
Yeah,
too. But
the Eddie match is great.
But yeah, no, I think I would pick the Bryan match. That Styles match, that was interesting because that was the first time we really saw obviously Brock face smaller guys, and Styles got him in that calf crusher, and he looked like he was ripping his fucking leg off with how Brock was
Dude.
selling, man.
That one was great, but the one with Brian, when Brian gets the belt,
I thought Brian was going to win for a minute.
and
Yeah.
Brock does that sell where his eyes start to go like back and
Yeah.
forth like he's a cartoon character.
Mhm.
His face is all red. Oh man, that's pro wrestling. That's
When
you can bottle that shit. That's perfect.
when
Yeah.
when Brian Danielson started, or I'm calling him that now because I know that's what he's going to be.
Yeah.
When Brian pulled out the fucking Nigel unification match shit where he's working violent as hell and curb stomping Brock's head in, I was losing my mind. I was like, oh my god.
You know what's
Like-
peak Brian too is he had just turned heel
Yes.
and he worked babyface and it
Yeah,
worked.
He does this amazing thing though, where he's the babyface within the structure of the match because he has to be.
Yeah.
He's very much a heel.
Right.
Like, it's
Yeah.
actually it is like seeing Ring of Honor champ Brian against Brock almost, right? It's that obnoxious kind of dick, but he's such a good wrestler. You admire him. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's this thing, and Bob, I don't know if you're aware of this, but he's actually the best wrestler of all time.
Really?
I think this is a really good comment from Jacob, and I don't look. People would hate if you tweeted this, Jacob. You would get fucking.
I
killed.
agree with that completely
But
too.
I think there is real truth, as he says. Brock Lesnar is why I hate WWE. He's so fucking good, and maybe never want to see him on TV again. Just sad.
The
There is
Kofi
truth to
thing
that,
is
man. There is truth.
the
Yeah.
Kofi thing's one of the worst things I've ever seen them do.
Oh god, just
Yeah.
They do
No,
that
that
shit.
wasn't good.
They basically tell the audience that watches every week, like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Why do you keep watching?
6 months. 6 months.
They do stuff like that all the time because
Down the
on
drain.
the TV is. I don't want to get in. This is we all have to deal with this, right? But
No, let's bury it since Devon's here. I actually
yeah, we will. That's a good
I
point.
promised
Devin-
one of our pals that we can't name on this show that I was going to get Devon to bury New York tonight. So
Okay, Devin, you got the floor, then, man. Go ahead.
Listen. They did this shit. Okay, well let's start with this. First off, honestly, it kind of started with the Punk walkout, okay? But they didn't make good with Brian. It was fine. Brian fucking hurts his neck and leaves. And then the Shield break up. I go and work at a church camp over the summer in college, and I come back and the Shield have broken up. and this fucking awful Tyler Black is the lead fucking heel in the entire company, and they've turned, underground IWA Mid-South, whatever, a hardcore legend, fucking John Moxley into a comedy character who gets mustard on Tyler Black's shirt from fucking, going to damn Coney Island horse shit. I mean, this is some of the most garbage shit I've ever seen. They've got, just, and thankfully NXT was good at the time, so that was kind of making up for some of the stuff. And they do this big, huge build. They bring all these guys from New Japan, all these indie stars in, 15, 16, 17. They do this big build to WrestleMania 34. Ronda Rousey's there. Great match. He was great. Bryan's coming back. Match was whatever. They do this whole thing where Roman's finally going to beat Brock. Not to mention, we need to go back to WrestleMania 31 where fucking Tyler Black again came out and cashed in a fucking Money in the Bank and swung around the briefcase like he was in IWA Mid-South again, dancing to that terrible music that he would come out to in Ian shows, and ruined that match. And Roman, the fan, Roman had the fans that night. He beats Brock that night. I think the, shit on Roman would have been way less tempered than it was. So we get to WrestleMania 34, a total utter disaster. And, Becky's rise was nice and Ronda was great. And then after WrestleMania 35 in 2019, when Kofi was crowned and Becky main evented Mania and did all that stuff, that was great, whatever. Tyler fucking Black beats Brock Lesnar twice, shits the bed, cries in fear from the fucking, sci-fi horror character from the Sci-Fi Channel, Wyndham Rotunda, whatever the fuck his name is, the Fiend, and it was, God, I was at the Knoxville Raw for that, and it was total, God, it was awful, total horseshit. What a terrible, terrible garbage that was. But it just was worse and worse. And they said, well, wait, when Fox comes, it'll get better. No, didn't get better, got worse. And got worse and worse and worse. COVID hit, not much you can do about that, but it still got worse and worse and worse. Look, Roman's been fantastic, but it's been a downhill, honestly, since WrestleMania 30, it's been downhill. I truly believe that. It's gotten worse and worse and worse. NXT had a great run. Then they fucking decided to call in, Shawn Michaels. Fucking awful shit. And then they had Gargano and Ciampa, and the feud went on and on and on, and somehow Gargano, instead of winning the title against Andrade, by the end of the year he was a heel who was doing this.
God.
Yes.
Just they've and now like NXT's turning into like the early 90s skit show. What was it? Matt, you would know this with the Wayans brothers, I think it was, and Jim Carrey and
Living Color.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's turning into that now. With their their little paint job or whatever. It's awful, man. Like, and honestly, there was some good stuff, like some pretty good stuff all the way up to WrestleMania 35. And I think Matt can confirm this because I know he was watching it. Confirmed. But and I think you kind of stopped watching right after that, right? Like, even like, and then the fucking thing where Kofi gets F5'd.
Yeah.
They could have had the match go 5 minutes and given him 2 or 3 big hope spots. It would have been fine. Everybody knows Brock would have won. It's been a downhill for 2.5 years, like full downhill. Like it was, like I said, from Mania 30 was like that peak. And I know I've gone to some totally incoherent rant, but I'm just mad because fuck Tyler Black, but and fuck Triple H and fuck Shawn Michaels. And fuck Kevin Dunn, and fuck Bruce Pritchard, and fuck Vince McMahon, and fuck Nick Khan.
Oh my God.
This stops me so much because there was a time when like Devon and I were literally like the two like WWE homers on Twitter. And like we are, everything you just said is like word for word. I mean, you said it better than I would.
Right.
Yeah. But it's like the exact same reasons.
Listen, there's still some good look. I'm a complete utter nerd. I'm not I'm nowhere near as much of a spreadsheet guy as I used to be. Thank God, really. But you know, I like Sheamus. I want to watch his matches. He's still really good. You know, there are guys that are good. I love Roman Reigns. You know, I like Bianca Belair. Fuck that bullshit at SummerSlam. But you know, there are people I like.
Let it play out.
Yeah, right. You know, but it's just you know, they're becoming what Vince ultimately wants them to become, and that's good for them. They're making a lot of money. I still don't know why the fuck you would pay 5 years, $1 billion for fucking WWE Network. What the fuck? I mean, that's an outrageous. I mean, how crazy? Like you're gonna pay literally $1 billion.
This is the thing.
That's a lot of money.
Well, it's kind of the elephant in the room. Is that thing is gonna have to bust eventually, dude?
Yes.
Like that. It can't keep going where it's going right now. That's insane. The numbers they probably brought to Peacock are so negligible. It's fucking bonkers. Yes. I don't know.
Like with all the streaming services, though, like I think everyone just wants content. So
$1 billion, man.
No, I know that's a lot. Well, because what did Amazon pay for the MGM stuff? That was like $8 billion, right? I know it's not the same.
Jesus wept, Bob. Anyway, here's the deal. Okay. This is interesting because our timeline's matched.
Real quick, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything to get myself canceled, did I? Because I went into a really blind rant.
Everyone that watches this agrees with you.
But it is very funny that you did that rant while all of Bob O'Neill was on the screen, and literally everyone that he calls a friend would have got very mad at you.
Oh yeah,
other than us three. Anyway, this is interesting because our timelines all kind of match. So I was at Mania 34, and the big detail of that Roman thing that makes it even worse. The summer before, they had Joe and Braun. Yeah. And you could have picked one of those. Now, look, I understand. Braun kind of sucks and Joe's injury prone. That ain't how wrestling works, man. When someone gets hot, you fucking go. You have to do it sometimes. Went with Joe. But even Braun, look, we don't like Braun. How hot was Braun that summer?
Yes,
seriously. And they waited to put over Roman, and they didn't do it. And it's the same thing, to Oracle's point. 2015, they made a point of telling the audience at Fastlane, Roman is better than Bryan. He kicked out his finish. He beat him with his finish.
How good was that match, too?
Amazing.
Good Lord.
But if you're going to do that and you're going to go that way, finish the job and just put the fucking belt on him. When you did the Seth thing, you started years of delaying it. And every time someone would say, well, turn Roman heel, people would go, no, it's a terrible idea. Breaking news, he turned heel when he did the fucking best work of his career as a character. Like, of course, right? People want to boo him. And all of us can agree we love Roman. And I think all of us wanted him to be a babyface because we loved his work as a babyface.
Better as a babyface in the ring.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he's selling, and the way he was tremendous.
So good.
I sat there at Mania 34, and it was just genuinely a moment for me where I was like, I have misread this shit so much. Like, I've convinced myself this was a good idea, and I'm sitting here, and no one gives a fuck about Roman winning this belt. And he didn't even win it anyway, which is funnier, obviously. Yeah. But like, they convince you that it's normal to just ignore the audience, and it's like wrestling shouldn't work that way, man. I'm sorry, and that's where the core of this all is, and. You're right. Like the fact that people defended the Kofi thing where he can't have a believable match with Brock. It's like, dude, Finn had one. He could have a 7-minute match with him. But I don't know. I don't know where the conversation. I guess we throw it to Bob because I guess he disagrees in some way.
Well, it's funny that the timeline is all the same for us, and it almost makes you think that there's a reason for that. Because we're right.
It actively sucks. Yes. Yeah, it is interesting though that our timeline kind of ends. Like the fleet coming in is fascinating because like I was later on the feet and shoot, and Oracle was later than me. I would say fair to say, right?
Because I don't like the Elite. I still don't really like the Elite.
Right.
I don't care for Cody. I like Jericho, like Matt. Like, listen, Jericho was my favorite wrestler before Punk.
Right.
But it took time. Britt Baker developed as a character. I liked her. John Moxley, I thought at first I wasn't big on him. But I've started to like him now. Eddie Kingston, another one of those guys who he wasn't ever really talked about. He didn't really have the mystique of the other guys, but he was around during that whole period. Yeah. He came in, got his due finally. Christian Cage, top 5 favorite wrestler of mine. CM Punk, top 5 favorite wrestler of mine. Bryan Danielson, top 10 favorite wrestler of mine. Listen, when you start bringing these guys in,
I'm sorry,
that's the show personified, by the way.
You're so fun, but I have to give credit to that comment. No, you're absolutely, and I mean, we're the same in that I'd imagine both of us, and shoot, God bless him, he was open-minded, but I think both you and I thought this is going to be being the elite bullshit, and I don't want to watch it.
And it kind of started out that way, a
little bit.
Slowly but surely, they kind of, and here's the thing, it is the ultimate variety show to almost dizzying effects sometimes. I mean, they smash cut from one thing, and it can be a little much.
Yeah.
But like WWE claims to be a variety show and really is just that through one man's lens, right?
Yeah.
AEW, look, you're going to dislike stuff on that show. But as long as there's enough that we can all connect to as that's pro wrestling, I think the overall picture works. Like your brother had a great quote, and I wish I had it verbatim, but he was like, if you're a wrestling fan, they want you to enjoy their show. And that may sound simple, but no promotions do that. Like if you're whatever wrestling you like, the same for you.
Bob, can I ask you a question? I swear I'm being genuine for once.
Yes.
As someone who still watches WWE, do you now that you watch AEW pretty regularly, do you find WWE's bullshit more glaring now when you watch it? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, I think a lot of it's like a familiarity thing. Like, I just, what am I going to do for 3 hours on a Monday night? Otherwise,
it's a hard habit to break. Yes.
Yeah, I do enjoy SmackDown for the most part. I think it's still pretty good, but no, Raw hasn't been good. Anyone can fucking admit that,
No, not anyone, but most people.
But yeah, no, I mean, and I think the whole I don't like the elite thing. I think that is a barrier for some people, but I think if you can just get over it, you'll find plenty of stuff you do like. And I did it too.
Oh, I have to be fair to the Oracle of Wrestling, though. He is not one of these fucking idiots that read a bad quote from the Young Bucks and said, I hate these guys. He's watched their matches.
Yeah.
And Bob, I don't even mean as a dig at you, because I know you watch the show now, but we both have friends that legitimately have not watched any of these guys' matches until think they suck.
I was 100% that guy 4 years ago.
Yeah. That's fine. And if you're somewhere in this chat and you're the same, why you're watching this show, I don't know. But when Oracle of Wrestling says he's not a big elite guy, he's just he means he's watched their matches, they're not really his thing. He respects you, it's not his thing. That's different to people just being like, man, he said something mean about WWE, he's a piece of shit. It's get out.
First of all, I still watch most WWE programming because I'm an idiot. Because Bob said, sometimes what are you going to do? I mean, come football season, I'll probably watch a little bit more Monday Night Football this year than usual. But I mean, yeah, they suck. Fed dead.
It is and I've said this before, and it's the truth. I'm sure that I could watch SmackDown or pay-per-view and probably be relatively entertained. Mm-hmm. That's not how I watch wrestling. If I'm watching it, I'm going to watch pretty much all of it. I didn't watch Dark there for a while, but if I'm doing it, I'm doing it. And the big thing for me, I know I've said it before, but it's the truth. My wife didn't want to watch it anymore. And then I was watching it by myself, and it was just I don't need to do this anymore. And once I start watching it, that's why I don't watch it at all. Literally, I watched the Rumble this year, and I was I'm probably not going to do that again. Mm-hmm. And that's just the way my mind works.
I get that. Yeah,
I've cut off from it completely.
The thing is, I get why it's the wrestling. When I watch the pay-per-views to review them, I find the in-ring to be genuinely enjoyable.
Yes, the in-ring.
And I'm divorced from it enough now that when they do dumb shit, it doesn't anger me. So I just literally watch it as cold.
Well, except for the Alexa Bliss stuff.
That fucking enrages me. When I swear every time, and people still do it to me as a rib. They'll DM me clips of Lily winking. So I don't want to see it. But that's another classic. Again, I'm going to go off on the rails here because Shoot did that to me. It's his fault. The fact that you can say this to me, okay? This is where they're at as a promotion. They're doing heel Charlotte Flair versus babyface Alexa Bliss in Columbus. And my reaction to that has to be, that could be fucking terrible. Because they are that bad at professional wrestling that one of them is portraying a Bray Wyatt cosplay, and the other one is at a point where no one wants to see her, and she's been convinced she doesn't have to sell because they give her a new title reign every other week. That sucks, dude. That should be a slam dunk. It's a tiny babyface in her hometown. They love her there.
Yeah.
They suck.
Yeah.
I won't lie, though. No selling, huge ego Charlotte Flair
Rules, yeah.
versus bad attitude, reckless Nia Jax is fucking awesome. And when Nia threw those 3 punches and like fucking lit Charlotte up, and Charlotte got pissed and no salt, dude, I fucking lost my that match. Awesome. Charlotte got dropped on her head like 3 times. It was that ruled. I love.
I will
like
agree.
that.
That's one I watched all the clips from that match because I was losing my mind.
It
When
never
Charlotte
happens on TV. Yeah.
Charlotte like hits her in the back of the head. Oh, I laughed so fucking
Well, then when
hard.
Charlotte does that deal, and she winds one up and goes, "Oh fuck that, I ain't doing it."
Well, Charlotte's like Nia's reckless, but Charlotte has a little bit of Sean in her. Like I'll never forget the Kyrie deal when Kyrie was knocked out. Charlotte got pissed and fucking deadlift powerbombed her, and fucking that was bad. Like she definitely may have made that worse a situation.
I have to say, she to me is, and before I go any further, Orton is similar, but I like Randy Orton, so I'll never blame him for this. They are perfect examples of when the system broke. In that, like, you can legitimately never react to her. You can only say woo, you can cheer or boo. She is going to be pushed the exact same way. Yeah. They do not give a shit what we think of her. And that's fine for them. But, like, God, if Orton didn't move the needle, Charlotte, fucking, that thing hasn't staggered. She doesn't sell shirts. She doesn't sell tickets. She doesn't sell. Yeah. They just say woo because they remember Ric Flair. God, and listen, if you think she's a great wrestler, God bless. I don't, personally. I don't think she can lace Sasha Banks' boots. I mean that as sincerely. I don't. She's a good big match wrestler sometimes. She now just wrestles as a babyface all the time, though, which is definitely a rib. But with all that being said, she's such a good example of what WWE has become, where it's just like, you can do whatever you want, bro. They're pushing it the same way. Good luck. That sucks. Randy's been that way for 17 years.
I'm terrified that Charlotte's going to leave and come to AEW. I really hope.
Dude, it seems more likely Andrade's going to go back the other way at this point.
Does it? Yeah. Charlotte is so weird in that, like, and I'm not going to do it, but like if I had to list like my 10 favorite WWE women's matches, she's probably in like 4 of them, and I don't think she's very good.
Opportunity, man. Opportunity is everything, right? Like, she had a lot of chances to have those big matches.
Another WrestleMania 34 error when she fucking beat Asuka and Asuka kissed her ass after the match.
Oh, awful. God, yeah. That match is great, too.
Oh, it's a great match, but God almighty.
How do you guys feel about Kyrie? Because she's like at the top of the list of like the dream acquisitions for them, and they're 100%. Like if she is willing, she can get cleared and she's willing to wrestle, they're 100%. Like Omega wants her in the promotion so bad.
She's a great wrestler. She's I would be up for it. She's a great wrestler, charismatic, can do. Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm a fan.
I think that by this time next year, alongside Britt Baker on the poster of the new Women's Division exclusive show on YouTube every week, you will see the Bella Twins, Paige, and Kairi Sane.
I think Kyrie's going to happen. I really do.
Kenny wanted her, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it would be great. I just don't know what her situation is, why she actually, like...
that if
she just think it sucked there, and she's just like, fuck, I'd rather not wrestle.
Yeah.
If so, wow.
Well, the nice thing, again, and I talked about, and this is, like, I'm going all over the place, surprise, surprise, but, like, this comes, like, for Walter, too, if that ever comes to pass.
God, he's so good.
Like, you can come to AEW, and you don't have to move.
Yeah.
Like, Kyrie could come in for a 2-month run and then go back home for 3 months. Mm-hmm. And like, and the same thing with Walter, like you can do that. And there's so much more freedom that like, I honestly will be shocked if Walter doesn't end up in AEW whenever. I don't know what his contract situation is because he doesn't want to move over here. And so it's like, what are you going to do with him?
Interesting. I don't know. He'd be a hard guy to book.
Yes. I'm actually not as high on him as a lot of people are.
I'm not evil,
but
I love him. But
I get it, and I understand. There was a while where he was doing those when he started doing those NXT UK title matches at like British indie shows. he did that thing, and we have seen every great wrestler do this. There's no shame in it, but it happens where like he found his match, and like it could have been me in there, and he was going to wrestle that match. And like it's when he has to go through the gears. I mean, that match he had with Ilya was fucking insane. Like, shoot, you would like that without any investment. It was incredible.
I'm sure I probably would.
It was incredible. But I agree with you that I have to be honest, I wouldn't be super fired up to see him with the All Elite graphic. I mean, I pretend I was for the Grin, but you know, it wouldn't pop me. But it'd be interesting to use him as like a part-time guy, right? Like, use him as like a Brock attraction. It'd be really weird. It'd be interesting.
I want to see him and Moxley beat the shit out of each other.
There you go.
There's something to that.
So here's another thing. Now that the Pac match got called off,
that's happening on Wednesday, brother. Well, Friday for you, all Wednesday for me.
That's true. That's true. But it's man, I really wanted to see that this weekend.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, we'll see it on Wednesday/Friday.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's an interesting one.
Andrade, we talked about this already, and since we haven't,
we need to see him wrestle. We need to see him wrestle. That's the thing that I was like, because you know, before they announced it, I'd actually forgotten that they had announced it. So you kind of stopped me there for a minute. I was like, oh yeah, they did, didn't they? But like his promo he's still struggling with English a little bit, but he's, you know, he needs to get in the ring and do his thing, because this stuff, and it's okay. I mean, hell, Miro had a slow start. You know, a lot of that had to do with fucking Kip Sabian. God. But it's just they need to get him in the ring and doing his thing and having fucking bangers, because he's great. He's a bell-to-bell guy.
Did you see the Kenny match?
No.
Okay.
I'd be interested in your take
like
on that. Yeah, I didn't think you'd like it either, but I was interested to see where you're at. So here's the thing with him. By the way, Bob has still not named his favorite Brock Lesnar match, which is fucking incredible audio.
I thought I said the Bryan match.
Did you? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that. Now, Andrade, I've said this before, and Devon, he can speak this better than I can, and he would not agree with this level of hyperbole, but he has to realize I'm a feature writer, so I have to lie. When I saw Andrade NXT, a level of complete in ring that I've seldom seen, because he could do any style, right? Like, he would whack guys. And when he wrestled Aleister Black, he kicked the shit out of him. Yeah. He could still fly. He had those smooth chain wrestling sequences at the start of his matches. Like, he was special. Devon, am I misplaced in saying he was? No, maybe not, you know, to the degree I just said. Like, he was a special pro wrestler, right? It's fair to say.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's somebody who can pace a match well. He can structure a match well. He can sell babyface, heel. He can do all that stuff, man. Like, he's the guy. To me, he's a guy you want to put in the ring, and have a hot opener or have a hot mid card feud. You could have him be a main. I mean, he's charismatic enough to be a top guy. The promos are an issue, and Chavo's not the voice for him. And here's the thing: I'm actually a bigger Chavo fan for his career than other people are, but he's not the voice for him. You know, if he had a better, and certainly Vicky wasn't either when she botched his debut.
It's going to be Ric Flair.
Yeah, and you know what? I like Rick. I'm not so sure Rick is the voice for him either, because I don't know how Rick would be at 70+ years old as promos.
It's one of those things where I feel like the ceiling is really high. Yeah. But it could also be a disaster. Again, you didn't see the dynamic. I keep saying this, but the dynamic they had in Mexico was like
it was immense. Yeah, here's the concern.
Yeah,
you can't afford it to be a disaster, because we just said he's gone from Vicky to Chavo, and now we're thinking he's going to go to Flair. Like, that shit can't flop. You know. Now here's the thing. I like Rick's NWA promo from a week ago was. Like, it was all over the place, but he did sound like Ric Flair again, because he wasn't trying to remember shit they'd written. Like, that fucks him up. He's too old to be given scripts. Like, the key is, I know he's going to want to be in ring. Listen, man, in 2021, you got to pre-tape that dude. You got to have an interview over the stick and give yourself a chance to let him, you know, have a safety net, because he is, you know, he's from a different time, bro.
And some people just said it in the chat, and it's 100% true. Him and Zelina was perfect.
Yeah.
And it sucks so much that she went back. I'm not going to criticize her for it, but like, that would have been, and people were like, "Oh, you don't go back," and yes, you do, because their chemistry was fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Like that would have been like that if he had come in with Zelina on day one, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
I agree.
And he could be a main eventer with her,
Yes.
for sure. And this is like, and like I want to. I don't think I have to say this, but it's like I don't want to sound insensitive but you know, the English it is an issue when you're trying to cut, you know, when you're trying to cut promos. It really is, and it's, you know, trust me, I took Spanish for 2 years. I blew at it.
Yep.
I get it. Second languages are hard.
Yeah, we're looking at him as a talent. It's not, you know, it's no joke.
Exactly. It's hard.
Seeding wise, it's a factor. It is what it is.
But I actually give them credit for like letting him do it. Yeah, like you need to pick your spots better.
Yeah, don't do him on commentary.
Yeah, that was weird. And like it still pops me that he's got that third guy with him that we don't know anything about.
Yeah, good shit.
But, yeah, we had this conversation, and like I'm still a believer that like he's gonna have this Pac match, and then he'll start wrestling more regularly. In a month from now, we will have forgotten about this. But I mean, it's entirely possible that I'm wrong. And this is the other thing that's rough is like they clearly see him as like a top guy, which means he's not going to wrestle all the time because that's not how they do things. And maybe he needs to wrestle more than they're going to have him wrestle. He's in a weird spot too because like he came in and then like there's been people bigger than him that have come in since, and it's like
the scary thing for him is, and I say this as someone that's the biggest fan in NXT. If he flops, that wheel's going to keep spinning. Like, as you just said, they're going to sign, you know, they signed Malachi, who's been a hit quicker than obviously Andrade. I think that's mostly booking too, right? Like, it's part of it. Punk and now Bryan. I mean, only so long are they going to try and keep, and again, let's be clear, he's had one match, you know, and Creative has a lot to take the blame here, unless Andrade's asking not to wrestle, in which case that's just weird, but he needs to wrestle more. However, it is definitely a case of like they're not going to sit here and spend a year trying to figure out Andrade.
No,
like,
they don't need to.
No, exactly. So I don't know. It's just something. Now I do have one big topic we tackle here before we get to the ruthless aggression, which is something we're still going to do, Bob. Trust me. Last week I got in a lot of trouble, and when I said it, Matt said you need to confront the Oracle of Wrestling about this. So I'll do it now. I dismiss the offensive arsenal of one Mustafa Ali here on this program. I received multiple tweets, very mad at me. And my take, Oracle, and I'm sticking by this. I think he's a great babyface, so he can really sell. I like the promos. I think his offense is only good when he's wrestling a guy that's nuts enough to take every move on his fucking head like Buddy Murphy was. And I will stick to that until the day I die. That's my deal. Oracle, where are you on this?
I have a little bit more of a nuanced thing on that. So I think his offense is probably a little bit too indie-rific at times. And I guess the indie-rific would be maybe more apropos because that's kind of a broad term to use. But I don't really – his offense is not really what I care about as much as his selling and bumping, which was like – I mean, that's the bumps he would take in 2018 205 Live. I mean, there was nobody who was doing that shit like he was. Like, Bud Murphy and stuff was taking big, but like, you know, Bud Murphy was an offensive guy. Like, you know, he'd be hitting his, you know, 17 V triggers and all this shit. But Ali, man, that dude, babyface, God. I mean, this is a dude who had great matches with 2019 Kenta, you know, who was like,
hey, he ruled on 205, man.
Hey, he did, but like he was, you know,
Ali brought it out of him, right? Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. It's interesting.
What do you think? What would you think Ali's ceiling is if he came to AEW? Like, could he be a top guy? Do you think that?
I think so. Devon, what do you think?
Well, he's a good promo. He's an underrated promo, and I
agree with that. Yeah,
I don't think we really like a lot of his promos are like him doing them himself, producing them himself. It seems like so. Like it does. You know, we don't have a lot of exposure to that, but what we've seen is really good. You know, with his promos. Yeah, I mean, there's there's a possibility there. He doesn't feel like a top guy to me.
Yeah.
But if he goes out there and he starts cutting his promos, dude, there's a chance he could have a pretty high ceiling there.
So this is the thing. I do want to make this clear. If they're both on the big board and I need a potential top guy, Ollie is miles ahead of Bud. Bud's a
Yes, I agree with that.
right?
Yeah.
But I just think bell to bell, I think Bud is so prolific. Like, we're all 205 Live guys here, other than Bob because he's a coward. Like, Bud Murph used to go out and he could be working fuck anyone and he would be dead silent and he would work him into This Is Awesome 205 chance. Like, he's prolific bell to bell. Now, again, he's a mid-card guy, not, but in ring, I would take him, but I also get Devon's perspective of like looking at the sale of Ali. He was a tremendous, almost throwback babyface. It was very cool stuff. That's fair.
Buddy is a better. Well, and this is what's funny is they were almost perfect foils for each other because
Yes.
Buddy's a better heel.
Yeah.
And
Their feud was amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And that's literally his character on 205 Live was he was a fucking powerhouse that was stronger than everyone.
He was a
Like,
bully.
that was-
Yeah.
Like, and that's
His whole
what fascinates-
debut, his whole debut was that he had to make the weight limit.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the.
That was a shoot.
Yeah, that actually was.
Yeah.
Well, he swears it is. I don't know if I believe it, but
it was a shoot.
I am a firm believer, and I don't think it'll happen. But I think that Buddy in AEW, if they legitimately let him go, he will get higher than you might think he will because the
Yes.
fans are going to fall in love with him.
If he wrestles enough, yes.
Yes. Like,
But he would need. Do you remember that time when
excuse
Phoenix
me.
started rolling and he was like, they started booking him every week because people would enjoy him in the ring so much. And he had that 20-minute match of Archer because it was like people just wanted to see Ray Phoenix. He would
Yeah.
need to do that deal where you just start booking Buddy, like
Yes.
because he is that good. People don't get it. Like people really think he's not good, and it's like,
he's fucking incredible.
yeah,
Him and Omega would be goddamn incredible. Like,
It's wild that Kenny fans like they get like offended on Omega's behalf that he does the knee, and it's like
Yeah.
Kenny does not give a shit.
Kenny wants to wrestle him.
Of course, because and this is the thing to Devon's point. Like I talked about Ollie's offense, but like we all know enough about wrestling, watched enough to know, brother. The moves are just the tools you're using, right? Like the thing that Kenny sees when he sees that knee is not that he stole it. It's like how fucking good Buddy does that shit. Everything he does is crisp. The way he takes bombs is crisp. Like people are so lost in that they think wrestling is fucking like top 25 move YouTube videos. It's like no, like, it's not that. Like. But that's a different conversation for another day. We could teach Bob about another time. But yeah, they're both very good wrestlers, which is our conclusion here.
Although I will say those were fun to watch in like 2008 when YouTube first started, and you're like, oh, Kenta Kobashi's top 30 moves, and like, holy shit, the Orange Crush, what the fuck is this shit?
It
You know,
rules.
That's
like-
what Cedric's fleet ceiling is. And I don't mean this as an insult, but he's just a guy. Not like he would have good matches, but I don't see him.
Side out is what you're saying.
Yeah, perfect.
So I don't disagree. I think there is a physical presence and charisma to Cedric and the way he carries himself that I do think has gone understated a lot. Like when he was the cruiserweight champ, I get why people found him bland because he wasn't a good promo. But like he did feel like a champion to me, legitimately. Like, and again, that doesn't mean he's seen in the AEW be high because it's an all-star roster now. Like we get that, right? We understand. I do think Cedric, there are elements to him that no one has ever tapped into. Like when he was in the Hurt Business and he became that like young, ruthless, just like piece of shit cat, he was great. There's an edge to him, man. I don't know, Devon, where are you at on Cedric? There's something to him, I think.
He's a really good wrestler in the ring. I actually think he's kind of an underrated promo in some ways, depending on how he cuts it. I thought he cut some good promos, like when he joined the Hurt Business and after when they broke up. Like he had the look. I thought the little TV feud that he had with Shelton for like 3 weeks was actually pretty decent. He just, to me, he hams it up too much. He's a bit of a tryhard sometimes, and that shows like maybe too often. And that would probably be my biggest criticism is he's too in your face, too much of a tryhard sometimes would be my biggest criticism.
he's a real big culprit of the guy kicked out of move I've never won with. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
If you do that thing once a year, okay, but a perfect example of that is when they worked in Australia, him and Buddy actually kicked out of the lumbar check. He did that sell, and it was like, fuck, Cedric does that when he's hit with a drop kick. And he just saved it. But, that's kind of I agree, that's a detail that he's a big culprit of it, and he never gets shit. But, that's the Gargano thing everyone talks about, right? Like the hands, and oh, my God, I can't believe what's going on, that whole deal.
Yeah, and I feel like I was too harsh on Cedric. I want to clarify that. I think he's actually good. And I do think, and look at your screen, and we can already talk about we're the wrong guys to talk about this, but it's a real thing that there's not a single male black wrestler on All Out.
Yes.
They're going to need to address that at some point. And again, we're not the guys to have that conversation, but that's a real thing that's going to need to get fixed at some point. I don't think it's intentional, but they need to fix it. They need to find the right guys, and they need to fix it.
It's such a hard conversation because I would never, when I see anyone bring that up, I'll never shoot it down because I think it's a very real thing.
Yes.
However, I also think there are real signs that AEW wants to eventually get there, and he's trying to develop the talent. Now, I think the world of Hobbs. I mean, Hobbs is going to eventually be a player. He ain't ready to be a player yet. And I'm not. I love Scorpio. I've talked about it every time on this show.
He's missing something, yeah.
Scorpio has been putting his team with Ethan. That was a Scorpio Sky vehicle, and Ethan is the star of that team now. I'm very hesitant to say this stuff, not on this platform particularly, because it sounds like you're doing that shit WWE fans do, right? Where it's like, well, it's the talent's fault. However, I do think there is a case like Jade Cargill is a star. She ain't ready to be it yet.
Yeah.
And it's as long as they keep trying, they'll get there eventually. I don't know where are we at on this, Devon, Bob. Anyone want to jump in on this?
Yeah, Bob. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think they're very high on Jade Cargill specifically.
Yes.
You can't deny that. I don't think she's quite there yet, but I mean, she's someone that's going to get there. I think it's easy to see.
Yeah, Lee the chat's bringing up Lee Moriarty, and that's a good call. And again, we keep going, and I still, and yeah, I think they are high on Lee Johnson. I agree with that, Rob.
Sure,
Rob said too. I was kind of sad tonight because the crowd did not care about him at all. But they did get into the match. So, and I mean, and yeah, Ricky Starks, that's fair. And
too often he's forgotten, and I apologize.
Yes,
Ricky's the main event. He should be featured even more than he is.
Yes.
He's wonderful. We all love Ricky.
And we keep bringing. I cannot believe that Fred Yehai cannot get on television. There's guys, and we don't know it. Maybe there's a reason. I don't know, but it's insane to me that he cannot get on TV.
He's so good. He's so good. He's
just not. His problem is, I think he's good in ways that the conventional, indie style was lost now, which is why we all like him so much. That
shouldn't matter in AEW. You know what I mean? That should be.
Ring of Honor is using him on TV, and he's not signed, and it's fucking insane. I don't get it at all.
I thought Reese brought up Trish Adora, and I'm going to be honest. I've seen that. I legitimately, and I know it's a bit. I don't know who that is, but I've seen the buzz.
She's very good. I saw some of her recently. She's very good.
Yeah, I've heard very, very, very good things about her.
And I think they're going to sign. I think it's pretty clear they're signing Hogan, Kara Hogan. I think that's pretty obvious.
She's
where
good.
You're going with that, pal.
Willow, I liked Willow Nightingale.
Mm-hmm.
She had a couple matches on Dark, and I liked her. They should probably, I mean, they again, I don't think it's intentional. I do think it'll get fixed over time, but I fully understand.
Yes.
If that's why you don't want to watch AEW, I cannot argue with you on that.
We will never explain to people that stress that concern that they are wrong because we're not fucking idiots, right? We understand, but we're just trying to discuss the topic as best we can. As Matt said, we aren't people to discuss it.
Yeah. You guys mentioned Shelton a couple weeks ago, and I mean, I don't know if that would be anything good or if you just have good matches, but I'd enjoy it.
That would be cool. The one issue I'd have is you bring Shelton Benjamin in, and he's going to make it very clear how small your roster is.
Yeah, he's also as great as he looks. Shelton's old now, right? Bless him.
Yeah,
I mean, he's Brock's age, yeah.
I mean,
he's not older than Brock.
About maybe a year or two, I think.
Yeah, actually. No,
He
Shelton
looks
might
incredible.
be.
Bob Lashley's 45.
Shelton is older than Brock because
Oh shit, he's 46. My God,
46, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's hard to have
that's
big
younger than
plans.
Christian Cage.
that's true.
Okay, look, Shelton's many things, but he's not.
I
Christian.
know, but I'm like Shelton's still very good.
He's good. I think Shelton's an interesting case of like, I wish I could just take him into the time machine and like just change his career. Like, I wish he didn't stay in WWE as a mid-card guy for as long as he did. I would like to see when he got to Japan, he was so systems like he done the WWE style, I don't know, Devon, where are you at on Shelton? I don't know if we've ever discussed it before. I'm intrigued.
I've always liked Shelton. I was a huge fan when he first broke into singles. For like that first like 2 or 3 years, I was a huge Shelton fan. Then he kind of disappeared. I think he didn't he have some random good matches with Taker on TV in like 2008 or something.
Yeah, when he had the gold standard deal.
Yeah. And I mean, and then he kind of came back and had some like, I don't know. He just kind of like faded into the background for a while. He was pushed really well, and or at least he was kind of going up the ranks, and they just kind of stopped for about that match was great.
Did you guys know that Shelton Benjamin's the last person that the American Dragon Bryan Danielson faced in a professional wrestling match?
I did. Yep. At New Wrestling.
Yes.
Yeah.
The chat brought this up, and they're right. We totally forgot about Dante Martin in Top Flight.
Right, but Dante's like younger than me,
Yeah, but that guy, like, they're clearly high on him.
They'll get there, but he's another case of that, right? Where it's like they'll get there, I think, and if they don't, that's a bigger problem. But
yes.
Before we conclude this show, about 2.5 hours, Devon, are you doing okay? I know you've had some health issues. Are you feeling good? All good, pal.
I'm good.
Because now it's time for the main event.
I'm having a blast, by the way.
This is honestly, man, it's so great to just sit and talk pro wrestling.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And I've said it before, and people think I'm doing a bit. It's like, this shit doesn't really happen anymore.
Yeah.
They don't just sit and talk wrestling. It's fun that we do, and I'm glad the chat's with us. And if I miss stuff, I apologize. I love Swerve. I don't know what he's doing with NXT. He'd be a good one to try and get across. For the last 15 years, we're not talking about the Machine Guns tweets tonight. If you wanted to say about the Machine Guns tweets, you could just type his name on Twitter and scroll for the last day because everyone's had a take. No, actually, in fairness to Tim, I'll talk about this. You guys don't have to, but apparently my gimmick now is I just build my brand around wrestlers that are ultimately problematic and get me in trouble. So I will discuss this. Look, I would suggest the Machine Gun logs off when he's drinking alcoholic beverages. I think we can all empathize with his situation, and I think we can also all agree that was the wrong time to discuss it.
Yes.
And all I will say, in conclusion, is everyone sometimes needs to take a deep breath before they hit send tweet. That goes for Machine Gun, and that goes for the people talking back to him, right?
Yeah.
And that is not a practice what you preach thing. If you follow me on Twitter, I am not fucking in wrestlers' mentions trying to bait them into an argument. Like, he made the decision to tweet that shit, so he takes the blame for it. Fine. But the reaction to it is very, very telling in my view. I hope Machine Gun's good. I always appreciate that he showed love to my work. So, and I'm legitimately a fan of his. Seriously. I hope he's good. That's all. Like, you guys can talk whatever you want to, but I think that covers everything, right?
I don't really want to talk about it.
Okay. My God.
Yeah, it's probably best if we don't.
Well, like, that's fair, though, right? I didn't like duck it.
Yeah, you're right. Devon, what are your thoughts on the Machine Gun Carl Anderson as a professional wrestler?
Pass.
Okay.
Actually, you know what's interesting? I call them the Bad Brothers.
Devon, how much of
to end that segment?
How much of his New Japan stuff have you actually seen?
Me?
Yeah, I'm intrigued. No, I only ask you because, like, I know for a fact Shu hasn't, and Bob hasn't either.
I've seen a few. I saw him in the G1 a few times, like way back when I was watching a lot of the G1s.
Did you know he made the finals once?
Yes, I did actually. Yeah.
You mentioned it, because almost such my birthday. Yeah, thanks, pal. He's always in. We'll just do this conversation another time when he's not officially cancelled on Twitter.com. But he's always interested me because he was a guy that, like, his style was very much a love letter to like old school NWA, and he came through when there was none. There wasn't that, and he ended up being a top guy in Japan. Weird career, unique. We'll discuss it another time when Machine Gun has not apologized for what he said. Anyway, For the last 15 years, Bob O'Neill has been rewatching the Ruthless Aggression era of WWE. He refuses, so I suggest other things. He says, no, I want to watch Rene Dupree again, Chris Masters, Carlito, all of this good stuff.
First of all, Chris Masters is a great worker. Do not shame Chris Masters.
Dude, ever since he came up that second run, which he was completely screwed on, he's been really good. He's still good, you know. Still.
Oh yeah, I know. But like that Superstars run where he was like nobody watched it but me and like my brother Dylan in like 2009.
He got way better, right?
God, he was so good. I mean, like he was having like great matches with Lance Archer and Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Tyson Kidd and Carlito and Chavo Guerrero and Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre and all these other. It's a long list.
Do you remember when Punk like giving the shout out deal where he was like, he worked so hard to get better and you guys fired him? That was one of his when he was doing the I was just naming wrestlers from 05. It's fine. I'm glad you stepped up for Chris Masters. If he's watching, Chris, there you go. He's been preparing for this very moment because now he has a real expert across from here on the StreamYard screen. I don't know how to set this up. Shoot, how do we frame this? Like, do we just let them discuss mid 2000s WWE?
Yeah, I don't know how to set this up because I don't care.
Going great.
Okay, here's what we're doing.
I just want you to know that we're gonna lose the entire chat when we spend this.
If they're still here now, after I did the machine gun PR statement, they're staying.
That's true.
Here's how I'm going to do it. Bob O'Neill, I would like you to give me your Mount Rushmore of the Ruthless Aggression era. Now, Be clear, Bob. Yep. I want to get in trouble here. If you do not include their work before the Ruthless Aggression era or after, right? Don't list Chris Jericho because he did Judas in My Mind in the All Elite Fleet. Okay, the Ruthless Aggression era. just that. Okay, go ahead, Bob.
Kurt Angle.
Oh, this is going to be so good. I'm so pumped for this. Yeah, keep going. Fuck. I didn't realize. I thought Bob was going to be prepared.
I just want to point out that I was wrong. We're not going to lose the chat. They're going to make fun of this relentlessly.
I guess we'll just go with Kurt Angle and Brock.
Twice?
And, Kurt Angle twice. And then Brock. And then probably Shawn Michaels. I don't like his stuff. I don't know.
Look at the chat.
A weird time.
No, this is different. This is a different chat. Look at this. I didn't watch it. Chat's fire. Who was your final four, Bob?
Let's go Angle and Michaels and Brock and
fucking Edge probably.
Yeah, Edge is pretty good.
This is gonna fuck. Okay, Oracle. Before you give your four, I want you to analyze Bob's four.
Well, Kurt Angle's Ruthless Aggression era is hit or miss. Some of it's really great. I'll be honest. Some of it's just like. The Brock matches don't do it for me. I like the SummerSlam 03 match, actually.
Yeah, it's very good.
But like, nah. The Benoit matches, like the one on Unforgiven 02, I actually like pretty well, but the Rumble 03 match is overrated. Brock, yeah, I mean I can see the argument for Brock, but he lasted for 2 years and the Ruthless Aggression era is like 6 years long.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I don't think he's a bad pick for a top four. I wouldn't have. I probably wouldn't have him in mind. Edge sucks.
This is the best bit we've ever done, and every time he said a name, I knew where it was going.
And Shawn Michaels is. He ruined professional wrestling, so no.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Well, that's the end of that conversation.
But
Shawn has some good bloodbaths outside of the. Now don't get me wrong, folks. I'm not talking about the Triple H matches. God no. Funny enough, the Edge matches, the Edge street fights were both really. They're like two of them. They're both really good. The one where Shawn like bled at Survivor Series, that was really good. So I mean, he has some good stuff, but nah, I wouldn't say.
Okay, before you give your four here, Oracle, I need to do this because I have got in so much trouble for going in this direction, but I want you to solidify and give credibility to my opinion, okay? How much does it confuse you when people legitimately are like, I believe Kurt Angle was the greatest wrestler to ever live. Because like it legitimately startles me to a degree that like, I don't know when that happened. Oracle, discuss Kurt Angle.
So Kurt was a Dave Meltzer favorite in the early 2000s, and he was like Dave's favorite wrestler to be for a long time. And I think a lot of people just sort of agreed with the Observer and sort of were kind of followers of that, and I don't want to, because I'm not much of a leader when it comes to discourse stuff either. Because I don't want to criticize people too much about that, but Dave was the leading voice there, and I think people sort of, Kurt did have exciting matches. Whether or not you liked him or not is debatable. But I think that trend kind of started there in 02, 03, 04, thereabouts. I don't agree with it. My favorite Kurt is when he was a brawler, when he would brawl, like with the Austin match at SummerSlam or the Jeff Jarrett match at what was it, Final Resolution 09 or something?
Genesis 09, when they're in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Hell.
And Kurt like gets dumped on his head. Like that stuff was
that
great.
Match rules, yeah, that's a great match.
Yeah, but when he's like out here like trading like, and God love AJ, but when they're trading like 17 near falls for 35 minutes or something, nah, man, that shit sucks. Or like when he's like, doing like 48 German suplex trio German suplexes with Benoit, and like they're both like ankle lock into crossface, ankle lock into crossface, ankle lock into crossface for 5 minutes. That shit's terrible.
What's interesting is they never get outside of the circle that like. So I want to talk at some point. I don't know if we can do it tonight, but we need to talk to someone about the greatest wrestler ever deal that you was a part of, Devon. And 2026 is the next one, right? So we've got some time.
Yes.
We got some time. Like that, to me, that segment of the wrestling kind of discussion is the one that analyzes Kurt this way. Because if you just broadly talk about Kurt Angle, they consider like he's considered alongside Shawn, which is again funny in that whole. But he's never ever among wrestling fans pointed at as like one of the guys that changed the style for the worse. When like I think objectively, him and Benoit's matches did that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
those matches were critical in the way that. Of like, if those matches don't happen, I don't think we get Davey Richards stuff in Ring of Honor, right? Like, I don't think we get fucking I know. I'll never forget when people are like, Davey Richards, Michael Elgin, you gotta watch this, and I watched that shit. I thought this shit's fucking terrible. this is awful. It was like WrestleMania weekend, WrestleMania 28, Roxana won. People are like, man, you gotta watch this Ring of Honor. Like, this shit's fucking terrible. The best part was like Carino on commentary or whatever. Or no, it was maybe Nigel was on. I can't remember. This shit sucked.
Anyway, that's fine. I got what I wanted at that Kurt Angle point. Anyway, so your Mount Rushmore with Rufus Aggression era. Go ahead, Oracle.
Ray Jr. I might get some heat because I buried Bob for Brock. Although like I will say the Brock pick was good, but I'd say Eddie. Because I mean, Eddie did pass away. Well, right in the middle.
Right.
But Eddie was transcendent, in my opinion. And I really don't even know if that's an opinion. I think it's almost a fact.
No, I agree. Yeah, look at to this day, man. To this day, that dude's legacy is so strong. It's incredible.
You're 2 for 2 on my list so far.
Yeah.
Let's see. It gets tougher. Yeah, you know what? Cena and Batista would be the other two.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds like
my 4.
I like Randy, but those guys are obviously transcendent, legitimate, and they were the last, other than maybe Edge in 06, they were the last 2 stars Vince made. They're
See, that's a case where Randy's argument, if you were talking career-wise, would be his longevity. That is not what we're doing here, right? So I think Rufus Aggression-wise, Randy's definitely not on there.
Right.
On their level. Now, I think Ray is such an interesting wrestler because if I say Rey Mysterio is underrated, people will be like, what are you talking about? He's a legend. He's an icon. He's still on TV. I don't think people get like the actual gravity, the scale of what Ray was and still is, frankly. Like, he has a case of the greatest wrestler ever, in my view. And I know, Devon, you know I've watched way less than you, but like, people do not get how brilliant he was in every fashion. Like, the TV matches he would get out of just big lumbering oaths. Like, he's a wrestling genius. Go ahead. So talk about Ray.
He had a match with like Mordecai on a SmackDown in 2004. That's like no business being as good as. Look, Kevin Thorne's not a bad wrestler,
right?
But I mean, come on, the match had no business. The Mordecai gimmick was unbelievably bad, and they had a great like 5-minute TV match, and he's just out and like he's the best TV wrestler of all time. No one's better on TV than Ray. He rarely has bad. I mean, Ray has a one bad match maybe every 10 years. Like
that
you know, like
who are your top 5 TV wrestlers of all time?
Let's see.
Christian's got to be near this deal, right?
Oh yeah,
Christian's
Ray, Christian. Those are 2 of them.
Sheamus, is he on there?
Sheamus probably is. Yeah.
Sheamus has got depth now too. He's been around for so long.
God, yeah. Those 3 for sure. Honestly, Cesaro's probably up there. Flair had a lot of great TV stuff in the. I mean, depending on what you wanted to, count as TV back in the 80s, a lot of his stuff aired on TV. Gosh, there's so many. Regal. I mean, I'm kind of adding more to like Ray and Christian would be in there. Sheamus would be in there. Regal or Finley, one of those 2 would be up there for sure. There's a lot of options. Arn's probably a top.
He's the original almost, right?
Yeah,
you could argue.
With the TV title reigns and stuff. And
what are your thoughts on early to mid 80s Kevin Von Erich TV matches?
Oh, Kevin Von Erich's awesome, dude. He fucking potato people did not give a fuck. If he gave you, if somebody shot on him, he'd give him the biggest receipt ever. Oh yeah, I'm a big Kevin Von Erich.
That was like my number 1 revelation, and I actually was a fan of like. I'm old enough that like I saw the Von Erichs a little bit on ESPN,
right?
But like, and I remember liking Kevin, but like I didn't realize how fucking like. You watch a Kevin Von Erich match and you're not 100% sure that it's not real.
That's what it's all about,
bro. Like a 39-year-old man watching wrestling from.
What is that? What was it? The country whipping match, whatever. That was awesome.
Yes. Oh god, that's an all-timer.
Yeah.
I have a new appreciation for the Freebirds now.
Oh god, they're so good.
I mean, I knew about it, but actually seeing it happen is just like Michael Hayes, man.
Great promo too. Good Lord.
He's a great example of a guy that, like, because he's stayed in the business in the way he has.
Yes.
Like, his rep is so different to what it would be if he was just like, I don't want to say the alternative to staying in the business for long, because with those guys we know what that was, right? But that is what it is. But like, people legit think he was like a joke. He was a money promo, man. He was one of the best pros in the business.
He was like 22 at the time too when they were doing that. Like, think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, they were all. I mean,
Gordy was like a kid.
Actually, I saw maybe Terry Gordy's last match live as a kid. He wrestled at a North Georgia, East Tennessee show on about 5 days before he died.
Wow.
So I think he may have had one other match after that, but I saw one of his last matches, which is cool because I got to see Terry Gordy live.
He's kind of a prodigy by all accounts, right? Like, there's stories of him being 16 in there, like being tremendous.
Yeah, Gordy and Williams fucking ruled too.
Oh yeah,
I remember being like,
I have some issues with it, but yeah,
I was legit terrified of them as a kid.
I like the vibe. I like the idea. The execution sometimes in ring would frustrate me. Like, sometimes I don't think they match the way it was framed. If that makes sense.
They're better in Japan.
WCW stuff.
They're better in Japan than they were in WCW. And in my mind, as a tag team, I didn't love the WCW stuff as much, but they, as far as the chemistry of the characters, fit perfectly. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's more. Let's be honest. As much as we love the details, that's the most important thing. Right? That name with that image, money.
I'm being 100% honest, and like I'm talking about them as I remember them when I was a kid.
And that's
Like,
that says a
I
lot.
was legit terrified of them. Like, I thought they were like the baddest motherfuckers in the world.
It's like with Bruiser Brody, right? It's like, and I'd love to know Devon's thoughts on him because he's such a polarizing wrestler online. Like, a lot of his work does not match his rep at all. But like, does that matter if 40 years later people are still like, any brawler people go Brody? And to be fair, part of that's Dave, you know, because there's obviously they were linked and stuff, and I get that, but it's a good example. We all love the details, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like, wrestling's broad strokes, brother. That guy comes out and goes into the people and starts swinging shit around. Like he's iconic, right? And even though the work is, I mean, like him and Hansen in wrestling history, him and Stan Hansen are put like next to each other, and it's like anyone that's watched their matches knows that ain't fucking like he ain't near Stan Hansen.
Bob,
I mean,
how
shit's
lost are you
most
right
people.
now?
Yeah, Bob's struggling.
Because I'm like borderline.
I'm sorry. Brody went a bit far. Devon, I'm right about Brody though, right? Like his work is, you know.
I saw a couple Brody matches
bad.
in World Class. I thought he was fine.
Yeah, it kind of sucks, right? His punches are shitty.
Have you watched Devon? Have you watched World Class like that? The stuff we were watching there for like that year.
So, Death Valley Driver did 80 sets and did like tons for all these territories, and Dylan had the 80 set, and he showed me like a bunch of like 20 matches. So I've seen like all the top matches from that era. I haven't seen like a lot of the TV stuff, but I've seen Gordy and Killer Khan. I've seen the Country Whipping match. I've seen a couple other Freebirds tags. I've seen I've seen stuff that's later than where y'all got to. Like I saw like the hair versus hair match with Chris Adams and Gino Hernandez versus
I
Von
need to
Erich.
go back and watch Adam's stuff because the stuff we saw ruled. You know who was a revelation for me is fucking King Kong Bundy.
Bundy, yeah,
In
Bundy's
Class,
good.
That dude was cutting promos.
That's what everyone always says. I haven't seen a little bit. Everyone always says like, "Oh,
Joe,
the
he
world
would
class
pop
Bundy."
the shit out of you.
Yeah, I
There's
do
a
like big
promo-
fat guys.
He like at one point he like goes on strike and like he's working at a fucking he's working at the docks and he cuts the promo while he's eating a chicken wing. And and it's a good promo too, but Jesus Christ, like, because all I'd seen of Bundy is like WWE, where he was just like a generic monster, and like,
I always liked the commentary team, like Bill Mercer, Mark Lawrence. Awesome.
Bill Mercer's incredible.
I love Mark Lawrence. I think he's amazing.
He's an interesting one.
Yeah, so some people. Here's the thing. He's polarizing. Some people hate him.
Yeah.
I like Mark Lawrence.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. Bill Mercer's awesome.
I fucking love Bill Mercer.
He's still living, by the way. He's like 95 years old. He's still alive.
I saw like a video of him talking about JF because he's like a legitimate journalist too. And there's a video from like 2 years ago of him talking about covering JFK's assassination. Mm-hmm. And he's like 93 years old. And that motherfucker is like sharp. Like,
oh, yeah.
I don't know how he is now, but like that Bill Mercer 2 years ago, you could fucking put him on dark and let him call matches and he would have been fine.
Can't be worse than David Crockett, brother.
That was something, wasn't it? Bill Mercer is very underrated. That dude was like, I thought he was tremendous. I legitimately loved that guy.
The chat here, I mentioned Hansen. I'm intrigued where Devon's because again, greatest wrestler. I think it's such a fascinating project where, you know, a group of wrestling fans watch so much stuff so they can have a credible opinion on the greatest wrestler ever, right? Which Shoot and I, you know,
there's no way I'm doing that.
No, we're not doing it. We respect it, and that's why I love talking about wrestling. But Hansen comes up here and about the fact his resume. Hansen is so interesting because, like, to build the aura, he would kill guys a lot, right? Like sometimes he would just flatline. Like it wouldn't be trying to have a good match. He was just gonna, but he would have these matches, man, that were special. Where was he? Where were you out on him? Where's he on your ballot? Generally, like I'm intrigued.
So he was my number one overall in 2016.
Oh my God.
There you go.
I
just because I didn't realize. My bad. Go ahead. Keep going.
No, you're good. Yeah. You know, Funk was probably. I kind of like went back and forth between those two. And I ended up going with Hansen. And I even think Terry fell a little bit because, like, I don't know, I was a little bit more strategic about it. Like, I think I put Buddy Rose at 2. Ray was 3. I think Funk might have been 4 or 5. Because, you know, I know it sounds weird, but, like, sometimes you want to be strategic because you want guys to place. I don't know. My approach might be different this time around. And I'm not the only one who voted that way either, by the way. I think a lot of people were probably a little bit strategic. But Hansen, man, like he was great everywhere he went, from New Japan in the early 80s with the Andre match, which is just fucking amazing. I think Matt would like that match. I know Matt,
That
I think that's
yes.
a match that Matt would pop for.
I think I'm not going to cut you off too much, but I think I would pop for a lot of the stuff I don't watch. That's not why I don't watch it.
Oh
That
yeah,
match is
it's because you have a life, right?
How long is that match? Like 10 minutes? 10 minutes, Andre and Stan?
It's
I haven't watched as much as you, but like, it's the best Andre match ever, right?
It's amazing. The Killer Khan match is really good the next year with Andre, but the Hansen match is better. It's the true blueprint for the Godzilla Kong type match.
Right.
That's the real blueprint right there. Hansen Puerto Rico, the Carlos Colon feud is an all-time great feud. Bloodbaths, all kinds of crazy matches. AWA, the Slaughter matches, the Kurt Hennig match, the Jerry Blackwell match, his title reign, tons of great matches. The Bach match at Wrestle Rock. He just, of course, his WWF run, Backlund matches. WCW, he had good, the Lex Luger matches were great. WCW, they were really good. He was great everywhere he went. He was great all the way up until he retired. He was great till what was he, like 01 and All Japan or something when he retired? He was literally
he worked there for like 18 years without a contract.
Yeah. He was amazing all the way through, man. And like that mattered to me, that longevity and that consistency, and that's why he finished first. I'm not sure he would finish first this time. I don't know. Danielson's feels like the running number one right now, but and of course Danielson's got a lot of got a lot of help with where he's going. So
it's great. I mean, Brian has. Like, him winning the title at Mania 30 is arguably the best moment of an era, right? But then, like, you could argue Kofi beating him for, like, he literally played both sides of. Like, that's insane. And to not even do it, like, half-heartedly, people really wanted Kofi to beat him desperately. He's that damn good. He's incredible.
The dude is psycho because he's a fucking nerdy dude from the Pacific Northwest, total nerd, like that GIF that our friend Tape Machines posted of him walking out at the TPI 2005 and like some like outfit that I would have worn at like my 8th grade awards show, like, and just looking like a total fucking nerd, like. And this dude, and then you look at him, and then you watch him, and he's like doing like, and then you watch like his match against Morishima, and his fucking eye retina gets fucking, his eye gets removed from his skull. And he's doing like this crazy shit, and he's just, I don't know. There's a charm about the guy, It's like, because when you see him, it's like, who's this fucking nerd, Yeah. And then the bell rings, and
he's such a wonderful example of why wrestling actually rules. Like, we can all like for different reasons, right? But the idea that when a guy goes through that curtain, he can just make some magic happen that you'd never see on paper. Like, if you put him opposite, there's so many pro wrestlers, you'd be like, this guy, he's a good worker. What else is he? Like, I think Brian's a good promo. I don't think he's a punk promo by any means.
I think he's gotten better.
He for sure has. That's fair, yeah.
I thought before his comeback, that was his biggest weakness, was he would, especially when he was a babyface, and he would like not keep it like, look, kayfabe's dead. It's been dead for 30 years. Right. But he would like burst out laughing in his babyface promos. It's like, come on, dude. Like,
I know, I get that, yeah. But like but even then, before his promo improved, and his best promo work, I guess, was the Earth's champion. That I guess that was his best.
That was amazing. Like the stuff when he was like torturing Buddy Murphy. God, that was amazing.
And that's the other thing. And this stuff's where it gets hard. And I think this is really hard, probably, for when you do these rankings. Is like, part of why I love Brian so much is that he is such a just bizarre outlier. Like, we all talk about what he's going to do in AEW, but if he legitimately did come in and wrestled like Daniel Garcia on TV for 20 minutes in his first match, none of us would be surprised. Oh. Like, you just mentioned Buddy. He put Buddy over. For why? I don't know. Just pop himself. Like, he's special, man. He
just wants to wrestle. The dude just wants to wrestle.
Yeah.
And they did like the They did the equivalent of the Wonderlic test or whatever that they take in the NFL and WWE, where like his ambition was like 0.
Yeah.
He just wants to go in and wrestle, man. Like he just wants to be a wrestler. That's his thing.
He's like when people talk about the business has changed in a negative light, Brian is like the perfect contrast. It's like he's a great example of how it's changed for the better, right? Like he's a credit to pro wrestling, that dude. Like he really is. He's wonderful. Now, while we're on this topic, I love that we were going to do Ruthless Aggression. We've ended up talking about Stan Hansen and Brian Danielson. But anyway, let's talk some matches here. We talked about booking earlier, but what like shoot is popping huge.
I'm watching Andre and Hansen.
Are you really?
Yeah, you guys can keep going.
Okay. I'm intrigued on like straight up matches for Brian in AEW. Like, forget the angles and the booking. Like, who cares, right? Just matches. Let's try and think top ones that come to our head here. Where are we going? Bob, Devon, both of you jump. Feel free. Like, what's the ones that jump out immediately to you?
It's interesting, right? Because like he's a guy that has been proven like he can have a good match with pretty much anyone. So it's like, I get that's cop out, but like someone I want to see him face, right away. Man, like the Kenny match, you just get it out of the way, it'll be very good, and then it's past. Like that's another good one. Yep, Brian and Pac.
Sweet. Bob, I know you thought you were doing a cop out there, but I think there's something to that. And Devon, you probably have better answers than us two dipshits. But there is something to be said to the idea of like he's so good that we'll watch anything. Yeah. As weird as that sounds, this one is interesting because I don't think he even worked Rusev a lot, let alone this mirror. I don't think he worked Rusev much. So there's that, I guess. Devon, what names come to mind, pal?
They didn't work much. I think they had they worked in a gauntlet match one time, I think. Yes. But like, yeah, that was like the end of the gauntlet right before Rusev faced AJ.
Awesome one. Yeah, that awesome one on SmackDown. And Joe was in that and he nearly killed Brian. Remember when he did the Power Slam deal? Yeah.
Yes.
I was at that show.
Oh, wow.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that was in Toledo.
Honestly, Punk Darby interests me, but Brian Darby really interests me.
Mm.
Because that seems like a guy. Darby seems like a guy that would. I don't know. Whenever I think a lot of people think this way, but he reminds me Darby reminds me of a 2000s indie worker that Brian would have had a feud with and worked, and I really want to see that match, because I think they would do some fucking great work together. Hangman, I think Brian and Hangman would be great, especially Brian as a heel. The Kenny thing, yeah. Brian and Christian Cage, I know they had some matches in WWE that were good, but I want to see what they can do outside of that system. Brian and Jungle Boy would be amazing, I think.
Yes.
God, that match would be really, really good. Brian
you could do that as like a babyface match, or you could have Brian as a complete dick. Either way, it'd be awesome, right?
Like, I would like to see a Brian Penta bloodbath.
Yeah.
Like, how fucking cool would that be, right?
Yeah.
Like, that would be awesome. Brian and Punk versus Young Bucks would be great. I think they might do that.
I agree. I think because I think they both want to work the Bucks, and they're the obvious, kill two birds, right?
Yep. And honestly, you could have a feud with those guys, and I would want to see like an old school like those Second City Saint brawls that Punk and Colt would have. I want to see one where like when they have who was it, Dan Maff and BJ Whitmer. I want to see like Punk and Brian versus the Young Bucks and like a crazy brawl.
Dex Harwood is a good call.
There you go. Yes,
I think we all think the world of Dex. He's incredible.
Yes, for sure. I mean, there's Andrade in this system.
Yep.
Danny Garcia, of course. That's kind of the one that we all kind of jump to.
Yeah.
Wheeler Yuta, that would be an excellent match. Orange Cassidy would be fun because I think Brian could do a lot of fun things with the Orange Cassidy gimmick.
I do too, yeah.
I mean, it's Brian Danielson.
It's literally the whole roster.
Yeah,
Pops me.
Yeah.
Mine, and it's a bit, but it's not a bit. Like, I want that fucking 12-minute YouTube match with Angelico where they just fucking roll around on the mat.
I get that.
Like, yes,
they would have a great match. I agree.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be great in the way that like people would be tweeting about it as like a match of the year. It would be great in the way where they just have a really compelling pro wrestling match for 10, 12 minutes and get out there. And I agree.
And they're like working like all kinds of like weird, like fucking like Negro Navarro, fucking like lucha insane shit that you would see in like IWRG. Just like just some awesome mat work. I'm with Matt there.
It literally is pretty much the entire roster, and it's not even as a joke. Like, it's fucking crazy.
No, it's fair. Here's where I'm in a bit of a weird spot, though, because I am obviously a leader of the fleet, but I have to admit, single match-wise, Gresham in Ring of Honor is legit as, like, interests me as well. Like, that match
Talk about mat
insane.
work. Oh, my God.
Now, there's
How
one.
good would that be?
Here's an idea. If you did a deal where you let Ring of Honor have Brian, but you don't want Brian to lose, there's the spot for the 60-minute draw, dude. Do that in Ring of Honor, like, because Brian's gonna have enough leap. Like, if he wants that match, he can do it.
Brian
right?
and Gresham for the pure title, 60-minute draw, right there.
Yeah, incredible. They need to get the real title on Gresham, and they should do the thing where he tries to purify. That's another conversation for another day.
I mean, Brian's definitely gonna. We're going to get Brian Okada at some point. I mean, it's not going to be in AEW probably, but, like, that's part of why he's leaving.
You're going to get that. Tanahashi, yeah, absolutely.
Ibushi. And so it'll be interesting to see, because I do think, I mean, if you're Tony, you're not going to let every single one of those matches happen in Japan. Like, one of those is going to have to happen.
I think they're going to do it kind of, I think there's a chance they kind of go old school with it and do, like, original in Japan, sequel in America, vice versa. Like,
I mean, I am of the opinion that, I mean, without the pandemic, I think we've seen Okada in AEW by now.
I agree. Yeah,
he wants to do it. Like,
he's a really interesting guy to fit into a predominantly television American product.
Yes.
It was one thing when Ring of Honor would have him come over and they'd just be like, "Here is the poster for the Okada match." Like, that worked. It could work in AEW, but, like, I don't know. He's just interesting. He has a certain way of doing matches, obviously, that we all know, and I'm sure we'll have our opinions on it. But he's hard to, like, just slot in and out for AEW when they have so many stars on their roster. I'm not saying it shouldn't happen, but it'd just be interesting.
We're past the point now, but I was a big believer in doing Okada versus Jungle Boy on a pay-per-view and having Jungle Boy hang with him. I mean, he loses. But he hangs. Yeah. But I think we might be past that point with Jungle Boy now. But like a year ago, before, like, I really felt like that would have been a great use. Someone in the chat brought up Kenta. I think Kenta versus Punk is going to happen.
I don't know how good that will be. But
I don't either, but I think it's going to happen. And I think that'll be in AEW. I don't think that'll be in Japan. I don't know how much Punk's going to. I think Punk wants to work some of those guys, but I think that's mostly going to happen in AEW.
Punk never struck me as like, oh man, he'd kill it in New Japan.
Yeah. He listed Okada as a guy he wants to wrestle, but I think Punk will be a guy that Tony is not going to let. Wrestle elsewhere.
I just, it's weird because, like, you could really make the argument that Punk and Bryan are very similar. But, like, when you actually think about how you would matchmake for them, I feel like they're actually very, very different.
They're very different, yes.
Because, like, my mind with Punk goes to, like, angles, like him turning on Hangman, him being a dick to Kingston or Moxley. With Bryan, I do almost none of that. I just go, fuck, imagine him doing a heat segment on Hangman.
Punk and this is what people talk about. He's washed up and stuff, and it doesn't make any sense because Punk is not a great wrestler in a traditional, like, and look. In some ways, I hate that term because he is a great professional wrestler.
To help you, he's not a great mechanic. He's
the epitome of the pro wrestler. To me,
there you go.
He's just not. He doesn't.
He's not technically smooth.
He doesn't have crisp offense.
Right. Yeah, and I thought, and that's one of the. I've seen the argument that, like, his UFC stuff hurts him, and, like, no, it doesn't.
I think that's been proven otherwise.
Yeah, that's just not. It's not. That's not what he is. Now, if he was a shooter, you know what I mean. Like, if his
not ideal.
Yeah. But, like, you know what I mean. Like, I'm trying. I don't even know what the perfect example.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, I'm saying that wouldn't be as easy to overcome. Absolutely.
Yeah, but, like, I just don't. I mean, for one thing, I don't think most people care. I mean, obviously, there's some people who care. I don't really care if wrestlers are actually tough guys. I mean, I guess it pops me, but, like, it doesn't actually bother me any. But, like, I don't know. I said this before. It's hard for me to think that Punk's not going to be able to do what he could do before. He
did it.
may be a step slower, but like
He was an all-time great who did it for 15 years. He'll be. It's
Yeah.
like learning to ride a bike. There'll be ring rust. Just like Christian, his first match or two, you could tell he was gassed, right? Like the Frankie Kazarian match was great, but you could tell Christian was gassed.
Yes.
A few matches took him probably did more cardio and stuff after that. Took him a little bit. By the third match, Christian was,
But
he was before.
I love that what you said
42,
there.
man.
Yeah, he's got
Yeah.
he's got years ahead, but I love that quote you said about he's the purest form of pro wrestler. This stuff frustrates me so much. Like someone tweeted, a prominent British journalist did the take where he was like, Punk wouldn't be like a top 15 worker in WWE, and he's like, listen, you can argue that if you want to, like, who cares?
Yeah,
like one of my favorite wrestlers is Roderick Strong. Okay, and technically, I think Roderick Strong is a better professional wrestler inside the ropes than CM Punk. Does anyone ever care about it? That he's objectively not a better professional wrestler because he doesn't get over the way CM Punk does?
No. Roddy Strong can't cut a promo for his life.
Right. And this is the deal: is like pro wrestling. It's the equivalent of doing this. It's like people talk about it the same way you'd say, like, this guy's a great technical boxer, but he's not a good showman. It's like, okay, but that's a sport.
Yeah.
Pro wrestling is a form of it. If you're not entertaining, you don't get over the people. You're not as good a pro wrestler as CM Punk. I don't care how good your fundamentals are. That's
It's
an
the
ideology
perfect example of this, and I don't want to defend him or go into a long. It's people who say that Hulk Hogan was a bad professional wrestler.
Yeah,
and
like he's objectively good at the job. Yeah.
Yes, like
it's like Ric Flair is, has a real case of greatest wrestler of all time. Devon can speak better, and he didn't have him top his ballot, so maybe not. But he's one of the guys, right? And Ric Flair's offense, he didn't have offense.
Yeah,
he didn't have off. He says
took
it all the
bumps in a
time.
weird way.
He said it all. He says it all the time at every podcast he's on.
Yeah,
he didn't. All he could do is throw a fucking chop.
People should phrase it better, and we all do this. We're all to blame. There's a difference between a great worker and a great professional wrestler. Because if you're a great professional wrestler, you get over, and you're probably a top guy. In truth, right? Like that's the now QT Marshall. Shoot and I will, we'll break away from the pack a little on that one.
Yeah,
no,
that's
absolutely.
The QT one's tough because
he's a good worker, right? He fits that bill. Here you go,
QT
Bob.
Should be on. Yeah, there you go,
Bob.
Hit your spot, Bob.
Yeah, so I actually call him the immoral Hulk Hogan.
It's worth saying, by the way. Yeah. Someone asked, how long is Darby going to go? How long do we think that before you carry on their shoot? Sorry, because someone
15.
asked earlier and I forgot.
15.
15, Devon, what are you thinking?
What's that?
Punk and Darby, how long do you think they're going to go on Sunday?
17.
Bob O'Neill?
Yeah, I think right around 15 is about what you're looking for. I
think Punk's going to go really long.
What's that?
I think Punk's Punk. It's easy to forget how much he liked going long before he was in WWE. I could see him, stretching his legs in that regard. I hope it's 20. I hope 20 does fine for me.
They do Punk Hero, and they go 67 minutes.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that.
Speaking of time, clearly we're going 4 hours again. So
sorry to hear that too.
Yeah,
we're gonna try.
I told you it was a mistake to put me on.
Yeah.
No, this has been awesome. How great is this?
We're gonna end up going 4 hours almost every week for a while. It'll probably wear off eventually, but
at least through Arthur Ashe, probably, right? That's the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, I will say, we just to warn the chat ahead of time, we want to wrap up by 4 hours so we don't cut off the audio and screw Joe over.
We're gonna be really safe on this and not go over 4 hours.
4 hours
on tonight's podcast.
I think we've established at this point, Devon, that you pretty much just have to message us and say you want to come on, and you're on.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet, cool. Thanks, guys.
Man, we've been here for 3 hours and 13 minutes.
The chat doesn't seem to hate you, so that works out well.
That's good.
Yeah. No,
they did. They hated Bob for 6 months. I kept putting him on TV.
There's a couple of them in there that hate me, so
that's okay.
That's all right because I don't watch anything but AEW. What's your thoughts on Booker T?
Oh, I love Booker T, man. He was the one guy I liked in WCW when I watched in 2000.
That was me too. But this is actually this is one of the topics that we said we were gonna save.
We did. I love that you remembered that now.
because I'm a huge Booker T guy. I think he should have been WWE champion as Booker T, not as King Booker. Even though he was world champion, whatever. But
Right.
yeah, there was something about Booker. I legitimately, when they started really getting behind him in WCW, I would like tune into Nitro just for his stuff. And that was all I would watch. Like I'd record it and watch just. And then like he came to WWE, and man, like that was my guy for a while. That Triple H thing crushed me, man. Like I thought for sure he was winning.
Terrible.
That's an all-time bad.
That was man, I hated that. God, it was bad. Like the pedigree, and then they took like 45 seconds.
I thought for sure he was kicking out. Like
that is objectively. Imagine Twitter.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, it would. But like Triple H, in all, I mean, I don't think I'm being exaggerating here. If that happened now, like that would dramatically impact him as like a character, because they would have fucking been chanting at him. And
I mean, even back then though, like it was different, so they wasn't like hijacking, but like people do forget. And again, I wasn't watching at the time, but like I'm aware, I've gone back and realized like, the perception on him was rock bottom at that time. You know, because he started doing. The weirdest thing about him is he did like the Ric Flair cosplay deal for a few years there, right? He also did the Harley, right?
Oh God!
And it's like, but he would do this. This is my favorite Triple H thing, because this is what pops me about wrestling. Is like he's a guy that every producer in WWE will be like, now that's a guy that gets psychology, right? And it's like legitimately, because Ric Flair would work a guy's leg and knee, Triple H also did it, not realizing he did not do the figure four as a finish, and he's finished with the pedigree.
Yeah,
and like. There are matches, and Booker's ain't one of them. Like he will do like a 10-minute segment on the leg where he does nothing interesting.
Didn't he do like an Indian Deathlock for like 3.5 minutes in that match?
You're right. Yeah, I think he did. See now, you know you said about Charlotte. She's had great matches because of opportunity. Triple H, man.
Yeah,
he's had so many chances to swing big on those epics, and he's missed so many times. But like enough times he's hit, and people think he's all time. They think he's great.
I don't think some of the younger people on Twitter fully understand like why him failing right now in NXT like pops us so much.
So funny. It's so fucking funny.
Because like, and look, I will admit, like there was a stretch there where like I turned around on him because I really liked NXT, and like you know, I wasn't sending him fruit baskets, but like I was, you know, but good Lord, like seeing him fail is just like fucking heaven, man. Like, I put up with his bullshit for years. Him just actively dragging down that product.
Totally.
And look, he had stretches where he was fine. Like, but he was never as good as he was slotted, ever.
Exactly. Like, it was nice of him to be fine for a few years. He's 15-year run on top.
Yes.
It's so terrible. God.
That's what makes our pals bit so incredible. Is like,
oh, right.
He sucked.
I thought you saw about those pals that aren't pals at all that pretend he was really good.
No, a pal that we don't name by name on this show, but like he
he sucked.
He was really bad. The Evolution stuff was cool for a while, but then again, that was just him surrounding himself with people that were cool.
It was more of him doing he just wanted to be Ric Flair.
Yeah,
but those vignettes they shoot where they go out and drink, and it's like I get it, but like he's literally just being a horseman.
Matt, do you remember when he put a bounty on Goldberg and Mark Henry cashed in on it or tried to?
Oh fuck! Don't even get me started on that Goldberg run.
That fucking shit was terrible, man.
There you go, Bob. There's one for you there, Bob.
A dick, man.
He sucks, man. Bob
so
Goldberg.
Bad.
Yeah, that shit was bad.
Good stuff. I want to circle back to Booker T briefly. So the reason I wanted to bring him up to you, Devon, because he's such an interesting wrestler to me in that, like, his match catalog is objectively kind of slim, right? Like, for a guy who worked prominently as long as he did, and I'm not saying that matters because, again, as we just said, like, what is that? Who gives a fuck? The bit about him that pops me most, though, and we're all WCW guys here, and Bob, like, people being convinced that Harlem Heat were, like, good is an all-timer. Like, they looked cool, dude. Dude, they were. Some of the matches those gentlemen had on pay-per-view. Oh my god! I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't pretend. They look cool.
You lose me on that one.
Listen, the matches sucked, but They were cool as fuck.
Yes.
All right?
And that,
There you go.
full disclosure,
And not to mention that. Tell you what, like 40-year-old Sherry Martell.
yes.
Yeah.
I
All
got Bob's
hail.
left.
Bob left. He can't handle it.
Look, again, we just said it a minute ago. So, like, I'm not saying this means you shouldn't think they're an awesome act because they were objectively, like, their entrance, they looked cool, right? Like, and they personality awesome. I'm just saying that there are people that legitimately will tell you with a straight face, Harlem Heat are like a top 10 team of all time, and they are insane.
You know what pops me about that specifically is I would be one of those people that would say that. But you want to know why?
You've never watched them wrestle?
Because I haven't watched any of it since it actually happened when I fucking loved it when I was 13
there is
years
a time,
old.
and Devon can speak to this. There's a time in the mid-90s where they're on every pay-per-view and having just terrible matches every single month.
But man, those outfits Sherry wore, woo, buddy. Hey man, and they were cool, man. You know, Stevie would like jack to the fucking gills, and Booker would say some cool shit in the, hey, you know, it was whatever, you know, and then and Booker always had one good spot. He would like light somebody up with his kick.
Yes,
and he would just
and then it'd take Stevie.
yes, and Stevie would lock in his fucking chin lock.
Oh man.
You know?
See, here's the thing though: are there teams and are there wrestlers today? Because we're all old dipshits that do podcasts, we don't realize that kids of today that are going to be doing this tomorrow think the same thing. And who are they? I don't know who. Because for example, we mentioned we were talking about Penta earlier. Penta is not Stevie Ray, but Penta doesn't take any bumps, right? Dude, if you see, kids love Penta, you know. And in 20 years, you know, they'll be sitting on a podcast. There you go. They'll be sitting on a podcast, and some dipshit will say, "Well, you know, the psychology," and that kid's going to go, "Did you see when he would do this deal?"
Yeah. The only kids I ever see at AEW are dressed like Darby or they're dressed like Orange Cassidy.
But you don't see the deal with the Penta when they have the
there was a little, you're right.
I've seen some girls with the Thunder Rosa face paint.
Yes.
Although I think at least half of those cases are people doing Darby face paint and they pretend it's Thunder Rosa. I'm convinced that has happened at least 3 times.
That pops me, and I hope that's true, and I think you might be right.
There has been C shows where she's come out and they've shot to a person definitely with Darby and like Excalibur, like, man, she's so over.
She is super over. I mean, you can hear the crowd.
She'd be a lot more over if she was on the A show more, right? Yeah. Like, she's special. I love Thunder Rosa. Bob, do you like Thunder Rosa?
Yeah, she's cool.
Good stuff.
God bless, man.
The Outsiders. Okay, this is interesting. The Steiners might be the only tolerable Harlem Heat match, and maybe the Outsiders. I do actually legitimately enjoy the Outsiders match.
You know what? I'm
realizing from Havoc '96 or whatever was that?
The heel match. I forget which pape. Oh. You know when Harlem Heat are like the de facto babyface just because they're WCW guys, but the crowd definitely doesn't want to cheer them. They want to cheer the Outsiders. I think it's Havoc. I don't know. Shoot, what you going to say? Sorry.
I'm popping myself right now because I'm realizing that I didn't watch the pay-per-views then because I was a kid and my dad wouldn't let me order them. So I haven't seen any of these pay-per-view matches.
That rules so much.
Beat the shit out of people on.
Dude, I'm so upset that I didn't bring this up, and you could have done like one day would have done our top 10 teams. You'd be like Harlem Heat at 3.
I'm just realizing that all I ever saw was them just beat the shit out of
them beating the shit out of the Southern Posse and like Booker like completely taking off somebody's head with like 3 unprotected spin kicks.
Oh, God bless.
Harlem Heat make the Dudleys look like the fucking Midnights.
I saw them on ESPN as the Ebony Experience in Global.
Who, the Dudley Boys?
Yeah. God
That's
bless.
Good stuff. Bob, your thoughts on the Dudley Boys?
Oh man,
I hear that.
Yeah.
Hey, somebody just brought this up in the chat, and this reminds me of something Tony said on the podcast. This is the AEW always gets big young demo ratings.
Yeah.
Tony said that last week, they were number 1 and number 2, Dynamite and Rampage, for median youngest viewership of any sports programming on cable television.
Well, younger people are supposed to like wrestling.
Yeah.
This has been forgotten over the years. But, here's what it is.
Yeah, it's mostly, wrestling now is just people older than me that are just watching wrestling because
I would suggest it is not ideal that WWE's product is aimed at people either under 5 or over 50. But I am simply, I'm not an expert on these things. Like people, listen, Bob's friends would tell you that the AEW show that we enjoy is dorky. It's like, yes, it is. Please try to watch Monday Night Raw with a normal person.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, you're going to be someone's going to think you're weird watching wrestling anyway, and that's fine. Okay, watch Monday Night Raw because they all think you're an insane person when those people start talking in the way they talk on WWE TV. It's bad, man. It's really bad.
Yeah, no. Like when I go home, I'll watch it like in the living room, and my mom or dad will be out there. They'll just be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, and like, look, I'm not saying if you had AEW on, they'd be like, "Man, get me a T-shirt. This is awesome." I am saying that at no point would you look over your shoulder and be like, "Oh my God, Charlotte's been talking for 12 minutes and she doesn't talk like a human being, and this is very scary." But what's your description of Charlotte's promos? It's one of my favorite Bob quotes, the trampoline deal.
Yeah, no, she does talk like she's jumping on a trampoline.
Incredible. What's great about that is it sounds insane, but anyone that's heard her talk knows exactly what Bob means.
100% right.
Oh, that's great.
Joseph, do you remember when we spent like 2 weeks of me talking you out of the fact that Bubba Ray Dudley was showing up in AEW?
Yes, I was
You
very
were
scared.
fucking convinced of it.
He's going to be there on Sunday, pal. It popped me tremendously. It popped me tremendously that Kingston's 1 month tag run produced more great tag matches than Bubba's 20 years did.
Joe was convinced
I was terrified. Yeah.
that Bubba was coming in to work Eddie Kingston, and then I had talked him into that it would be fine as long as King beat the shit out of him.
It wouldn't have been though, because King would have inside cradled him after getting the shit kicked out of him for 15 minutes.
Yeah,
It kind of felt like they were. I mean, one side was trying to make that happen, right?
one side
He's been
was
trying to
trying
do
to make
it
it
for a
happen.
year.
Yeah.
Since he got signed, he's been doing that deal, and it's like, listen, bless Bubba, man. Like, I actually like the Bully Ray stuff, so I'm not going to completely dunk on him, but like, King is at a point in AEW that Bubba was just like never at as a single. Am I wrong on that? Am I being unfair? Like, Kingston's people love Kingston, man, and I mean they like doing Bubba's little deal, get the tables, but it's different to being like Devon mentioned that cell with the belt,
man.
Huh?
King's a figurehead at this point.
Dude, when he got hit by that belt earlier, and he was doing that great sell Devon talked about, and the people just started coming up with the Eddie chants. It was like, fucking God bless, man.
He's a top guy in a national promotion in a year.
It's good shit. Like it feels so organic too.
Yes, it does. I mean, it is.
Listen, I haven't seen. I've heard, but like, there's some stuff that Eddie has on IWTV. I'll pop my brother here for that.
There you go.
Like, there's an Ian Rotten steel cage match that's like supposedly good. Like, I haven't seen it, but like I've heard like it's supposed to be like amazing. I think there's like a Quackenbush match that he has or something, which I know Quack's canceled, but
the Shikara, the high noon deal, right? Yeah,
right, yeah. But yeah, there's some stuff to check out on there that I know
there is.
Has gotten a lot of high praise.
They've got the because they've got all the Shikara stuff, and again, yes, Quack, is what it is, right? We get the deal, but like his series with Cesaro, Claudio, and Shikara is so good. And you've got this super athlete that looks like he's out of a comic book versus King, who looks like shit, and they have these, these tremendous.
And the hero rivalry, though, was like a last man standing match at a TPI one year.
Yeah,
and like they
had the loser leaves town deal they did at CZ Dub too was crazy. Mm-hmm. They had that's one thing that like talk about inside baseball that would pop me. Like bringing Hero in just to work Kingston on TNT would be an incredible moment for the business.
I'm a Hero guy through and through, man. He's another guy who can do some excess, but man, one of the all-time greats.
King and Miro should open on Sunday, shouldn't they? Like King should be like, I would open with that.
King should be the first pop, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, let's actually try and figure that out.
We're terrible at this. We never get this right. Devon, I've got the main event of every Dynamite wrong since we started doing our Fleet Week show.
What would be the other openers you could do?
I mean, you could open with the cage match.
Oh.
Well, somebody made a good point. I don't know. It might have been one of us, but it wasn't me. I don't know who said it. But somebody said that TK likes to stack all of his main events on top of one another, kind of like New Japan does. So I think the cage match will be late. I mean, it's possible Jericho and MJF start, but then I don't know. Miro and Eddie's a good start. I could see them opening with the Battle Royal. But you would have to have like a good winner for that.
Yeah, I think that'd be a mistake. Their matches are very. I have to be honest. I really dislike that casino.
Their Battle Royals are terrible.
Really, I like them.
Really, you like those?
Well, I just like Battle Royals, man. Like it's hard for me to hate a Battle Royal.
Fair, okay.
Fair. I'm not a fan of them like Joe, but I if you like Battle Royal matches, it's definitely like it's got the clusterfuck factory factory.
The worst one was that tag one they did.
Factor.
Yeah. When they did that tag one with like 40 dudes, I nearly lost my mind.
When was that? Was that last? Was that the one where Eddie was claiming he wasn't eliminated?
No, that was all out last year. That was the one when Darby got put into like the body bag. The tag one was when that was like Revolution this year. You know, the show with the exploding bomb.
Oh, that shit. Yeah.
Very long.
Part of Battle Royal, like, and they didn't do it the first time, but I feel like they did it. I'm still like a really big fan of the spectacle. And I think if I remember right, the men's casino Battle Royal they did last time, they gave everybody an entrance, which they didn't used to do. Like it used to be they all came out at once, like the group.
Yeah, no, you're right. They did do that.
Yeah. And like as long as they give me all the entrances, then it pops me. Like it's just
that's fair.
I like all that shit. Like
I think this is a good call for opener here. I think I could definitely see
them. There you go.
Wild thing.
Yep, wild thing. Yeah, there you go. I like that.
That entrance is again goes back to what we're talking about. Listen, whether you think Moxley's the best wrestler in the world or you think he's fine, whatever you're at, like
it's the best entrance in wrestling right now.
Yeah, another great example of broad strokes. Like, who cares possibly when he's walking through the people and Wild Thing's playing?
And he's just like doing stupid shit, like threatening fans and throwing trash cans, and Eddie Kingston's laughing hysterically.
Oh god, it's the best when King's with him.
Yeah, so good.
I love it when those weird arm motions, like he's like dancing almost, and like for some reason it works for him, but for most
kind
people,
of Terry Funk. Remember when Terry Funk would just like sway around like he was being like he was a tree in the wind, you know?
Moxley is like, there's just something about him, man. He's got that aura. Like
gets over, man. He's one of them guys, right? Objectively great.
He really is special.
People connect with him. They always have. Like he's a guy, and we talk about this all the time, Shoot and I. But I'd like to see your take on this, Devon. Like I did not get him in WWE at all. And after he got the belt in AEW, I was like, yeah, this is the guy. And it's crazy how much I've turned around on him completely.
So I saw like maybe one or two of his matches in the Indies, and I liked it. And then when he was in SCW and he had the Regal feud, it was great. And when he first debuted with the Shield, he was great. And then they gave him the U.S. title, and he defended it like twice in 9 months or something. Or like twice in a year. It was. I think one time he wrestled like Mark Henry on Main Event, which popped me. But when they broke the Shield up and they fucking turned him into a comedy character, it was shit. Like I brought it up earlier in my rant, but I'll never forget that shit. Because see, at first it kind of worked. Like even though I don't like Rollins, like when like Ambrose was like chasing him and like taking the contract from him, and they had like the wild lumberjack match, and when he went and they were building Hell in a Cell, and they had the show in Brooklyn. It was the famous show where Rock came out and like buried Rusev and Lana.
Yeah.
And they had, it's a 3-hour Raw, so they had like all these segments where he went to fucking Coney Island and came back and like sprayed Seth Rollins with mustard. In the ring. One of the worst segments I've ever seen. I was like, oh, this shit's done. And then they had their fucking Hell in a Cell match, and he lost to, a fucking Star Wars level return of Bray Wyatt hologram.
Yep.
I mean, and then he lost the Bray feud because, well, technically he won the feud in an ambulance match on TV, but no one remembers that. People remember him losing to Seth Rollins to Bray's hologram, then a fucking TV exploding in his face at TLC 2014. Tables, ladders, chairs, and stairs, by the way.
The deal with him, and it fascinates me, is like there are people with a straight face, people like Bob, that will be like, he won the WWE title. And it's like, I said this to my brother because we were talking about Moxley, and I was like, here's a classic example, okay? Mania 33. Roman works on top, beating The Undertaker. Seth beats Triple H. Dean Ambrose works Baron Corbin on the pre-show. And it's like, if you want to honestly tell me that he saw him on the same level as the other two dudes, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, I don't agree with him being below Seth. I don't think any of us do. But even if you agree with it, do not pretend they ever wanted him to be on their level, because they didn't. They made a point of it over and over and over again. And that's just the truth. And the fact that people don't accept it.
The Brock match was an insult. I mean, that was insulting because, God, that was weird tone, wasn't it? It was an insult. That didn't make any sense. But I was so pissed off because they did those promos. Remember when Terry Funk gave him the fucking and Foley endorsed him, and then Brock. I also think it might have been a little. Here's the thing: I love Brock, but I could totally see it. Brock being like, "I don't want to work a fucking death match."
Yeah,
which I get. I get it, but fuck you, Brock. Sorry, Rob, but fuck you, Brock. It's WrestleMania. It's WrestleMania. Work a fucking death match. Man up and fucking take a tag bump.
Yeah, here's a serious question. Seriously, I could be misremembering this. Was he not supposed to work Bray that year? Didn't they do an angle with the Wyatt family? They set up.
Yeah, they were supposed to. Remember, they beat the shit out of him on the go home segment to the Rumble. Because I was at that Rumble live and watching Brock shoot on Braun and that Rumble live was amazing. By the way,
what did they do instead with? Because who was Dean supposed to wear if he wasn't wearing Brock? And then if he did, obviously we know he wore Brock. What did Bray do?
Bray got the Rock segment where the Rock beat Eric Rowan in 6 seconds. And the longest WrestleMania ever.
Right? Shoot and I talk about him because people talk about him going to AEW. It's like none of us like Bray. But when you think about what we just said, like you get why it didn't work out also, right? Like it's like, yeah, fair. Like they probably shouldn't have done that. But anyway.
But I keep going back to I saw Matt agree with me. Brock, just worked a death match, dude.
No, I agree.
Take the tag bump, Blade, you're Brock, you're gonna get your money. You're still gonna win the match.
Yeah.
Just fucking do the match. Instead, we got a shitty fucking extended hardcore title match. It sucked.
Yeah.
Ambrose is the perfect example of people just listing accolades as if that means anything in that company.
FTR, another one. Great example.
Like, they won the tag belts. Well, the tag belts don't matter. So, I keep going back to. I'm going to keep bringing it up. It's the Santana and Ortiz thing, where if they went to WWE, they'd be tag champs by now. And
I think Gallows told the story where he was like, one of the writers actually said that to him.
Yeah.
Like, we give you the Raw titles. And he's like, none of us give a shit about the Raw titles.
Yeah.
Like, you don't, we don't. So why are we pretending? They really believe that stuff. You know, like FTR were upset and they were like, well, I know how to fix it. We'll put the belts on them. It's like, no, they actually want you to like make tag wrestling important, guys. But they can't, they haven't got the awareness for that. Look at Shoot. He's already seen the comment there at the bottom. Anyway,
I'm going immediately.
What was the thing with Brock? It feels like he didn't want to do shit, and they like really overreacted to me. That's my read on the Ambrose thing. Like he said he didn't want to play ball, and they were like, "Okay, Brock, whatever you want to do, we'll do nothing." That's interesting. Bob, do you like that match?
No, it's very bad.
What the hell?
Yeah, it's actually. Look at the chat again. Shoot. So I'm sorry. I have to explain this to the listening audience. Is it TK or is it Ty?
It's Ty and Sammy Guevara and TK and Aaron Solo.
What are they doing?
They've got 4 horsemen foam fingers. This is an incredible fucking photo.
Okay, hang on. Let me. Can you show? If you just put in the camera, will it look shit? I don't know how it works.
Find out.
Let's find out, pal. Wow.
I don't think you're going to be able to see it.
Yeah, I get I've put it up here. They got the 4 horsemen deal. Feels like Rick's going to be involved in some way to me. He said he's going to be in Chicago anyway. He's not hiding it. So
Sammy tweeted it too. Like, what the? Yeah.
Well, it's worth noting he had that video with Orange Cassidy. That was
actually pretty funny.
It's one of these deals where like he gets released and like people would start doing the deal they do every time. It's like, where is Rick? It's like, listen, guys, here's the situation. He's told you he's friends with Tony Khan and he's actively requested he's released from a job in which he didn't have to work to get paid. He has already agreed to deal with Tony Khan. Like this isn't, he isn't doing that on a whim. Everyone knows the situation. What you do with him is fascinating. He could easily just be a meet and greet guy that you make the action figure of and put in the video game, and that's worthwhile. Ric Flair is an icon. But we know Rick don't want to do that. So I think you're gonna get like Rick and Andrade in a program with Darby and Sting in some form or fashion.
Oh, God bless. I don't even care. I'm all for it.
Oh God.
I have my limits with Rick, I have to admit.
I don't want him to wrestle, but like,
Right.
If he went in and he threw a chop or two and then like did the figure four, it would be okay.
he did that in Mexico. It ruled.
Right. If he, he doesn't need to be taking the tip. I know Rick. Let's do the corner bump.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he would definitely do it. I love the thing Foley tells that story. Like they did a match. This is, by the way, what I'm about to say is a classic TNA deal.
Last man standing, good match.
Very good. It was on Before the Glory, which was like the pay-per-view like promotion deal. Wasn't on the pay-per-view.
That was a big show where they did Hogan Sting and then fucking Robbie Roode jobbed to Kurt Angle.
Yeah, and then they did the James Storm. That worked out.
I've seen that Hogan Sting match.
Now, here's the deal though with that Rick and Foley, and I love this story. So that match is on Spike rather than pay-per-view. And they're having this match and they're bleeding everywhere, and it goes to an ad break. Mick's like, thank God. Rick picks him up and he's like, "What are you doing? You taking time off? This is not how we do things around here, pal. Hit the ropes." And they start running spots in the ad break while Mick wants to take a breather. He's like, Ric Flair is like 65 at that point.
Yeah,
he's a lunatic, and bless him. I mean, he's so interesting because when you talk about guys that have longevity, they all showed like versatility that Rick. Like he kind of did. Like Ric Flair was Ric Flair, right? From day one.
Was that 2010 or 2011? My timeline might be wrong on that. That might have been 2010.
God bless you both.
I want to say it was 2010. Bomb Fault.
Yeah, because I think the 2011 Bound for Glory was the one with Sting Hogan.
That was
which was a good match, Matt. You're right. I think you said you saw that. That was.
And they did the deal where they redid the Rock Hogan angle, right? With just Sting. Remember when he turned on the Immortal guys?
Yeah, that shit ruled. I watched that match.
People popped for it. It's
just
amazing.
I love this because I can't even remember shit that happened on Dynamite a month ago. And you guys are playing.
I'm not shit on Devon, but I some stuff I don't know. Like this, I have complete no knowledge of certain areas which Devon doesn't. But I have like a couple areas I'm pretty good at. Like TNA is so interesting to me because they did such a bad job with major assets. They've convinced people AEW shouldn't sign them. Like Ric Flair being a perfect example. Like, don't do that. He was bad, and he wasn't even bad. He was actually hilarious in TNA. Like,
the Jay Lethal feud.
Right.
Oh yeah, that promo is incredible.
They never got any commercial value out of these guys, right? So people assume they're all bad ideas. It's like no, they just were bad at promoting people, man. Like
Flair's a tough one because like there's things about him that are legitimately problematic.
Yeah, it's a blind spot for all of us. Let's be honest. Like
yes. But
some of those promos he cut in ruthless aggression, even at the time, were like, wow.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the one in late 04 that he made. And if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's not ideal. He's bad. You got to be careful with him.
I think I keep saying it. I legitimately think he will do well as Andrade's manager. I think he will. Yes. I think he will be motivated and want to do well, and he's going to want to help his son-in-law. And I honestly think he'll do well in that role.
Look, full disclosure, if he goes chop for chop Penta, he will have a heart attack and die in the middle of the ring. Like, you heard what the guys say about Penta. Jungle Boy was like he said it in like a playful way, but he was like, piece of shit, he wears that thing across his chest, you can't even get him. Like, he just whacks you. He just kicks the shit out of guys. And when he, on Dark the other week, he did a chop. And Taz goes, or as Justin Roberts calls it, a home run. And Excalibur and him started popping to themselves because obviously he just nails guys with a chop.
Yeah.
He does that to Ric Flair.
Yeah, that'll be a problem.
Rest in peace, as Bob O'Neill would say.
I don't think he would do that to Ric Flair, but it's also Penta, so maybe he would.
She does that too. If he dies, he dies.
I don't know. There's something. I have a hard time seeing Tony Khan letting Ric Flair fail.
Agreed.
Would be the way I would put it.
This is my biggest concern. 4 or 5 wits mentioned.
Yes. And that's coming. Yeah.
That episode is, by all accounts, I mean, we've heard about that story as from our dumb wrestlers that we enjoy and shit. Apparently, that story is horrifying from the other side, which I believe, obviously.
What, the dark side?
Yeah, the plane ride.
By the way, this is great from Josh. Brian is going to go so red when Penta starts chopping him, dude.
Yes. I'm telling you, man, they would have a great bloodbath.
Do you remember when Roddy got in there for the Greatest Royal Rumble and chopped the shit out of Brian?
Oh
like
my
his own
god!
that ruled so.
The post-match interview with his chat.
They have
Oh
a
my
match.
god!
I can't remember what event it is because Ring of Honor used to do. Every event had its own. But Roddy and Brian have a match where he chops him so much, so it's like a 50-minute match.
Oh
They
yeah,
do
that one.
5
Yeah.
minutes of it in Saudi, and it's like the people are dead silent, and Brian is actually doing this as one of the biggest stars in the world. I knew the Fed was in an interesting place when he did that interview with Punk on backstage, and they go, "What young stars in NXT would you like to see come up?" And he's like, "Well, most of the guys I worked 15 years ago, like Roderick Strong." Sorry to hear that.
Well, yeah,
Well,
because he feuded with those guys. He feuded with Roddy Strong and Rob's friend.
My God,
True.
I could go so many ways with that joke. I'm going to leave it alone.
Yeah. That last comment in the chat is very true.
That woman's locker room might give Ric Flair a heart attack.
That's a very underrated is probably not the right word for that, but good
No.
Lord, yeah. Their women's roster is something, man. And we'll just I don't want to yeah. I mean
Let's not go any
it's
further
3
down
a.m. on the East Coast. Yeah.
Hey!
There we go.
There we go.
Oh, good God. You gotta love Bobby. He always hits his spots. Even when you think he's not listening, he knows what's going on. He's aware of
Fucking
it.
well done, Bob. 3 hours and 45 minutes in, you hit your spot, man.
Bob, did you ever give your favorite Brock Lesnar match?
Yeah, Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, I picked the Bryan match.
You certain of that?
Yeah.
Every week I'm going to just bring up to you, Bob, did you ever get around to that? And eventually you'll forget that you actually did give an answer. We have probably, look, we need to start wrapping up at 3:55 because it takes us 5 minutes to
Yes,
yes.
we're really bad at wrapping up. So,
we
Devin,
have 2 minutes here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, shit. What was you going to say?
Let's say we tried to wrap up on Wednesday, and then we went 2 more hours.
Yeah.
Totally my fault, too.
It's fine. It was good. We have about 10 minutes here where the chat, I think, can guide things as they may. Now, granted, we have legitimately had about 30 people here the whole time, which seems bad. How you could be watching this and still think, wow, I'd really like to see them tackle this particular topic, I don't know. But if you do, now is the time, pals, because we're winding down here. I will also, before I get any further, Bob, anything you'd like to
I'm going to start using that from now on. More like Roderick Week.
Yeah, that's a direct shot at me.
I
Very
call
sensitive.
him Roderick Week.
There you go.
He's very good, you know.
He
You know
is
when they cut all the good NXT wrestlers, we need to just sign Roddy and O'Reilly as a team. And I know you don't want Ciampa, but we need to sign Gargano and Ciampa as a team.
No.
Okay, fine. Roddy and O'Reilly as a team. Dude, never forget that Bob Fish teamed with Cole for 6 years, and Roddy came in was a better partner after about a
Yeah,
month.
that team was incredible.
That
Um,
that 2018 run, gosh.
You
Like,
take you
what was their best
sign.
match from that run? Like the Mustache Mountain deal? Was it Birch and Lorcan? That match.
Birch and Lorcan,
Oh
man.
my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Incredible. Okay, what we got here? After Ash match you want to see. I actually think, and this is a bit of a cop out maybe, but because I've said it so much, but I really would like to see Santana and Ortiz win the belts.
Yes.
I love that
Mhm.
team, man.
Yes.
I think that'd be a
It's time.
cool moment for them, and it's overdue, right? Any others? Any ideas, Bob?
No, I mean that one really stands out. Like if that's your big man. I mean, like maybe Brian does his in-ring debut.
The thing is, I don't think that's the main event match. I think Santana and Ortiz probably win it in the opener. I think they have something huge planned for the main event. Like, I think it'll be. I actually think this is not a scoop, but it's guided by a scoop. I can't share. I think there's a chance you get the Pinnacle versus like the AEW All Stars of that show.
I could see that, yeah.
It won't be the Elite because I think they'll be directing Hangman, towards Kenny. I think Kenny might do something else. I think there's going to be an effort, if Cash is able to do it, to make the Pinnacle like an act again. Because let's be real, guys, they have been fragmented as all hell recently.
Yeah.
Like, they're barely together, right?
Same with the Inner Circle. Like,
Right, but with them, it's like I don't really need
Yeah.
this bigger.
yeah. No, I know, I agree.
Yeah.
I think Arthur Ashe is a pay-per-view in Tony's mind.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the biggest Dynamite show of all time.
It should be, right?
Yeah. I mean, it should be. Yes, it's going to be insane. Like, it literally is going to be like something we've never seen a wrestling show in that kind of environment. Like, it's going to be something like we've never seen before.
It's just it's a balance of featuring the important players without losing the quality. You know,
Yeah,
like
because
it's hard, very hard.
I don't want them to treat it like a showcase for new fans. I hate when they do that.
Yeah.
Just do your show, man. And like, if more people are watching, great. Like, don't try to change.
This does feel like it's on the table. I could see them running King and Miro back at that show if he gets screwed on Sunday. I don't know, but I could
Possible.
see it. This is. It does rule.
Yes.
Bit of mentioning this.
They should have broke. Yeah.
It does rule that the Inner Circle did the match where they kept themselves alive and then never interacted again.
Yes. We haven't seen Hager in forever.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Hey, man, look, I honestly think Hager's been fine. That's actually been one of these stunners of AEW for me. Is like they've done it. He's been perfectly fine. They haven't. But
Yeah.
the Mox match sucked. That was the one.
They overstepped their boundaries
Yes.
on that.
But
Yeah.
since then, they have not given him the only, like we said, he probably shouldn't have beaten Wardlow in that. But I get why he did. You can't have him lose in the fucking octagon when and also does MMA fights. But
I forgot about that.
yeah, I haven't had a problem with Hager, and I'm not a fan. So like that's peak them knowing how to use people.
Dude, he's worth it just for every time he's on TV, Jim Ross being like blue chipper. He's gonna
Yeah.
figure it out one day. Like, God bless him. He really thinks Hager is at some point gonna like
Pro
turn the
wrestling
corner.
capital of the world, brother.
There you-
Or
There you go.
amateur wrestling cap, yeah.
Is Hangman better in the title picture then? Devon, what do you think? Arthur Ashe seems like too soon, right? Am I wrong? What do you think, Hangman?
He might return that night.
Has his kid been born in a situation, something
I
like
don't know
that?
what the
even
deal
know.
with that, man.
I don't know what the deal.
It feels like people
I
got
don't
really
know.
like they assumed a lot with that deal, but that's why I've kind of left
Yeah.
it alone, right? I
Yeah.
don't know.
You know, who knows? I hope everything's okay. But you know, yeah, it's probably too early. I feel like that's a Full Gear thing, maybe.
Agree.
Gosh, Full Gear could be a big show, and I'm gonna want tickets for that, and that's gonna be hard.
Yeah. They need to move it to the Dome. I'm not doing a bit. They really need to move it to the Dome.
They need to keep it on the same night, though, please.
Yeah, that's not going to
Just-
happen, unfortunately. We're all fucked, brother.
Well, I mean, I can cancel my booking for the hotel if I had to. So, but you know, I'm gonna try to go as best I can. Brian's gonna work that show.
Yeah, I think that'll be his first match.
You know, at Arthur Ashe. I don't know who he's gonna wrestle though. Maybe Daniel Garcia. I could actually like.
They need
I
to
don't
heat
know.
him up if they're going to do.
He's
All
losing.
done is
Yeah,
lose.
he's
I mean, I
losing.
guess you don't have to, but like,
I do think it's bordering on parody for me, which I like for the 2.0 guys because I think that's good shtick for them. They just keep walking out and getting beaten up.
yeah,
I don't want to do that, Daniel Garcia.
yeah.
So I don't know. I like your call, Matt, actually, about like maybe Hangman comes back at Arthur Ashe.
If the timing works out for him personally, I think that's the move. Is he returns at Arthur Ashe? I really like if you do that Pinnacle. Well, no, that doesn't work there because what you're talking about, the Pinnacle needs to win that match, right? Because
No.
yeah, I would say like you do like
Basically, this is the deal. Okay, this is not whatever. The months ago, MJF intended to work Eddie Kingston after Chris Jericho. Okay,
okay,
so I think that could very well have changed based on the fact they've added CM Punk and Bryan Danielson. But like, I do think if you're going to do that, there's no reason to not overlap with the Pinnacle guys. With like Kingston is kind of linked to obviously Moxley, but also Darby and then Sting, right? And then you have some fun with it. I don't know.
I don't like. I guess it doesn't make sense because obviously Hangman comes back with and goes right after Kenny, but like the Pinnacle versus Punk, Bryan, Sting, Darby, and question mark, and then it's Hangman, Adam Page.
Yeah, it's insane. I agree with that. The thing is, when
pretty
he
good.
comes back, he needs to reunite the Dark Order, right? That's the
Yeah.
thing. So I don't know. This is a good story, by the way. Jake Hager was smoking at the entrance of the Night Center before Dynamite in Miami. because they didn't tell him the doors open. He looked disappointed when fans weren't swarming him. That's very good stuff.
God bless.
Yeah, the 2.0 guys have been really fun on TV, right?
Yes.
Bob, how did you guys play it with them?
Yeah, no, they really dropped the ball with them or those guys, and I'm glad that they're getting to work with Punk.
Personally, I think it's good business when you sign guys to 5-year contracts and then release them a month later. I think that's a good way to run your company.
Yeah. Actually, the other day I have to apologize. I was a real dick and I said it's toxic to release 150 wrestlers in an 18-month span. And someone said, "Is it though?" Because Amazon did it, and I was like, "Good point. Actually, not toxic. Definitely healthy on a product where it's about investment to just train the audience to believe that any of their favorite wrestlers could vanish in the next week.
Yeah.
Definitely helps overall. You know, I think it's good stuff. It helps morale too, right? No one knows that they're safe. I like it.
Put that comment about Bray up on the screen.
They still?
Yeah, I'm going to reiterate, and I'm an idiot for doing this. I am a firm believer that Bray's not coming.
Sorry to hear that.
And I'm I'm just doing that so I can look like an ass when it happens. But like
it'll be fine. Don't worry.
It will be fine. I don't think it's going to happen. I think
If
they're happy with Black.
I don't disagree, but if he does come, he's going to wrestle like 4 times a year.
Yeah.
And he'll be spooky, and it'll be fine. We'll just look the other way and pretend it was good.
And his name will be Bray Windham, and that'll pop me. So
surely it'll be Wyndham Wyatt, right?
Will it?
Saying that buddy get buddy, so fucking anything's possible.
Yeah.
These dipshit songs.
Bud Matt, brother. We made it through a whole show without really talking about him very much, besides his WWE run.
I was going to say we did a 15-minute portion on how great of a worker he is.
Yeah, but we didn't talk about him. Yeah, I guess we did talk about him coming into AEW. Too. Never mind. I'm full of shit.
At one point you said he could get over huge in AEW.
Yeah, Jesus. Look, man, it's been 4 hours. Like,
tell me about it. It's 8 a.m. Okay, listen, we need to conclude here because again it takes us too long. I do not want 4 hours as the audio cast. I do not want people to miss that. Apparently, people only listen to the audio. Man, I don't know if you heard about that, but
yeah,
whole famous audio listeners. I'm going to send it to the star of Tonight Show, Bob O'Neill. Bob, anything to promote? Anything to push?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at Robert O'Neill 31. We're going to watch college football for about 14 hours tomorrow. It's going to be a great time.
Who's we? You guys?
I'm going to, yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. I won't be involved
well,
in that, pal.
That's probably not true. I'll be in and out on college football.
Fair. Okay.
I've got a fantasy football draft tomorrow night. I'm going to beat Rob's ass again.
Oh, yeah. We have to do that, too.
I won the league last year, just so everyone knows. And then nobody paid me.
I'm glad I knew that. Shoot.
God, he's got
fabulous.
Devon's got some kind of gimmick coming.
Oh my God.
Oh hell yes.
Oh,
he's got a trophy.
Oh shit. We need to do a trophy gimmick for this show.
I want $1,000 for that too.
But like, I'm serious when I say like, without any pressure, Devon, you're like welcome to become a regular co-host on this show because this was incredible. I know you don't. I don't know that you want to do this every Friday, but like whenever you want, please just let us know.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Already better than my brother because I showed my face, unlike that coward. But
well, the only issue with Dylan is like we were out of our depth completely. So.
That dude,
that was incredible.
Dude. Yeah,
that was incredible though. Like that was.
People think I have knowledge. I ain't shit.
That was fucking germ theory and flat. Like I'll give us credit. We gave up on the flat earthers thing really fast because I that could have been a thing that we kept doing for a long
big
time.
Big money Matt deal really derailed that. I went that direction and it really.
How do you feel about Matt Hardy's theme song, Devon? As we wrap the show up.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Shoot, was that your promotional piece of the show? Is that what you did? Is that just you just was like, yeah, Devon should come back. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to wrap the show up this week. Is that okay?
You do you want, pal. Just let Oracle plug his Twitter though first.
Yeah, plug your Twitter, man. Twitter?
My Twitter is @KingMotivatorH. I think. I never get that right, so someone I'm sure will correct me.
I think you're correct, pal. Shoot. Please take us home.
Okay, folks. This has been.
Jesus, where did that tone come from for the last 4 hours?
This has been the 4-Hour Grin, which may be the new name of the show. For the Electric Bob O'Neill and the Oracle of Wrestling Devon Hales and Big Chief Joe Holbert, this is Confirmed Shoot signing off. All hail. Good night from the Executive Vice President of the Patreon. We'll see you next week.
Wow.